I can extract health points. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1, Risking Your Life Right from the Start? A deafening roar came from the sky above the dark forest, accompanied by bursts of artillery roars from time to time. Such noisy and lively movements finally woke up Li Xiao, who had been playing PUBG all night. But before he came to his senses, a female voice as cold as an arrow sounded in his ears. Welcome to the world of Backfire, dear Commander. Congratulations on becoming one of the 2 billion commanders. You will get a military base dedicated to you. Please upgrade and develop your base as soon as possible, and form a strong combat force to deal with the threats from various forces on the Hanhei Star and other commanders. Note, your base is currently under system protection for 48 hours, during which time your base will not be attacked. Note, whether your troops accept your command and are loyal to you depends entirely on your attitude. Please cherish your comrades who fight for you. Warning, when your base is completely destroyed or you are killed, you will be eliminated and die completely. What? Did I hear it right? I'm wearing it now. After listening to several prompts from the system that came from nowhere, Li Xiao was confused. Are you not prepared at all? Is it a sin to take a nap in an internet cafe after staying up all night? But then Li Xiao seemed to realize that the system voice just now was not a joke, because he suddenly saw a flying vehicle that looked like an aircraft carrier piercing through the clouds and slowly moving under the moon. Aircraft carrier. It would take Blue Star 100 years to research this thing. Well, time travel is time travel. You don't let me travel to ancient times to be a prince or something. Why do you travel to a game-based war world with such a strong war strategy style? If it weren't for a few years in a certain literature, Li Xiao would really find it hard to accept it for a while. Fortunately, there are still 2 billion unlucky people to accompany him, and now he doesn't seem to be alone in the alien world. After calming down, Li Xiao did not forget what the system said just now. The world not only has 2 billion players, but also local indigenous forces. It can be said that if you are not careful, you will be doomed, so the top priority should be to seize the time to develop and protect yourself. By the way, where's the base? Li Xiao remembered that the system said that a military base would be given at the beginning up. Li Xiao turned around and immediately saw a small steel concrete structure bungalow with an area of less than 20 square meters, and it was a plain house without decoration. Fuck. You told me this is a military base? System, come out and I promise not to kill you. Li Xiao originally thought that a military base must be one with all kinds of shooting ranges, training grounds, helipads, barracks and dormitories, and there are heavy machine guns, anti-aircraft missiles and other things inside. Li Xiao feels that it is too disgusting to call it a public toilet. Okay, what can Li Xiao do? He has no choice. He hurried over a few steps. This so-called base room doesn't even have a door. Well, it doesn't even have a window. Standing at the door and looking inside, the furnishings in the room are simple, with a bed, a table, a laptop, a bathtub, and a wardrobe. Is this also called a military base? Li Xiao was about to complain, when suddenly a lot of information flooded into his mind. This made him a little dizzy for a while, but he recovered after just a few seconds. Li Xiao recalled the new information, which turned out to be the basic virtual operation methods and some rules of this backfire world instilled by the system. For example, he can now open base information, communication channel, trading center and menu auxiliary system menus. Li Xiao opened the base information and had a preliminary understanding of the current situation. Unnamed base LV1, you can receive G-level conscription order 2 every day. Commander, Li Xiao, horsepower 100, backfire ID 0202120800, number of facilities 1, storage limit 50, upgrade conditions, steel 50, fuel 50, rare ore 20. Now, his primary goal is to collect resources as soon as possible to upgrade the base, and then pull up a strong team. Then he opened the communication channel again, which may be the only channel to communicate with other players who came to this world at this stage. After entering the communication channel system, Li Xiao found that there was only one national channel that could be entered, and there was also a Legion channel and a World channel that could not be entered. Li Xiao clicked on the virtual screen within the projection range of the field of view to enter the national channel, and then heard the system prompt. You have entered the national channel 131,069. Maybe there are too many players, The system seems to have directly set up several chat channels. As soon as he came in, Li Xiao found that the chat interface was scrolling, which looked very lively. And judging from the content of the chat, it seemed that those who were pulled into the alien world by the system were relatively young people, ranging in age from 18 to 40 years old. Fuck. What the hell is this place? I just checked into a room with a girl. How come I'm here? Family, guess what I saw? A mecha, the kind with the Gatling guns on both hands. Excuse me, does anyone know how to get back? I am willing to pay 30 million for the information. Great. This is fair. I am a bachelor, and everyone is on the same starting line, and it depends on their own ability. Brothers, fighting is the most annoying thing. Is there any kind person who can take me back? I can ask for more excessive conditions, you know. Stop your wishful thinking. This is obviously a group time travel. It's probably too hard to go back. Think about how to survive first. What is it like to play a real-person strategy game in another world? Out of curiosity, I will try it on your behalf. Li Xiao watched for a while. Most people were still in panic, but many people began to face reality. Of course, for a small number of people, this may actually become a new starting point in their lives. Their unwillingness to be defeated by the reality of life before traveling through time has become their motivation to get ahead in this other world. Li Xiao also saw that many people had begun to explore development, and there were more and more discussions about this backfire world. After synthesizing some information, Li Xiao came to the conclusion that things were not peaceful around almost all players' bases. A large number of local indigenous military forces threatened their security. Just now, he saw someone saying that he saw unknown troops exchanging fire outside the safe area of the base, and they were well equipped and powerful. It seems we can't waste any more time. The system clearly informed him that the protection period was only 48 hours, and he could only recruit up to 4 soldiers in 2 days, which was probably not enough for a small group of indigenous forces to fill his teeth. Chapter 2: The First Little Brother. Turning off the communication channel, Li Xiao spread his hands, and 2 recruitment orders similar to mobile USB flash drives fell into his hands. After he pondered for a moment, one of the recruitment orders disappeared, and then a young man from the east wearing combat uniforms, fully armed, with yellow skin and black hair appeared outside the door. Report. G Level 1 Star Private D Yoon has been ordered to report for duty. The loud voice, the tall and straight figure, and the Yang Gang's resolute appearance were Li Xiao's first impression of D Yoon. Haha. Is this my first little brother? As the system said, although he was a refreshed subordinate, he was still an individual life with flesh and blood in his own thoughts. Li Xiao greeted him hurriedly, saying that he had to have a good attitude to win the support of his subordinates. He also checked D Yoon's personal information. Name, D Yoon. Occupation, Army Infantry. Loyalty, 60. Comprehensive ability, G Level 1 Star HP 100. Military rank Private, 0/20. Position None. Equipment, Type 03 Combat Uniform Kevlar Tactical Helmet, Tactical Marching Backpack, QBZ-19 Assault Rifle /300 rounds, Type 05 Automatic Pistol /40 rounds, 91 Full Plastic Offensive and Defensive Grenade /1, Shock Bomb /1, Smoke Bomb /1, Individual Field Ration /1. D Yoon's personal information is relatively detailed. What is more conscientious is that the newly recruited troops are born with a basic amount of ammunition and supplies. Just now, Li Xiao was thinking that if someone didn't have a gun, he would just kill him, but this saves him a lot of trouble. However, from the perspective of comprehensive capabilities, it seems that the combat effectiveness of each soldier must be judged based on ratings and equipment. In other words, they are both army infantry, and the different levels and star equipment may lead to vastly different results in the battle between the two sides. Yes, D Yoon, from now on we will fight side by side, but I don't have a gun yet. Can you lend me your pistol? Li Xiao stared at the pistol hanging on D Yoon's right thigh with eager eyes. He had never seen the real thing before. Of course, Commander, Li Xiao actually just asked, but he didn't expect that D Yoon actually agreed. The other party took out the square and exquisite pistol with a brushed black metal texture and said, Commander, do you need me to explain it to you? Certainly. Li Xiao has never even seen a gun, let alone fired one. If he doesn't popularize science now, why wait? The Type 05 automatic pistol is the standard melee weapon currently in service in our country. The gun uses 9mm caliber general-purpose pistol bullets. It has an effective range of 50 meters and a magazine capacity of 10+1 rounds. It has 2 shooting modes, single shot and automatic. You can add a variety of tactical accessories such as extended magazines and holographic sights. Yoon explained the parameters of this pistol in detail, which made Li Xiao feel itchy. Especially when he heard that this gun could achieve full automatic burst shooting like a rifle and submachine gun. He couldn't wait to try it right away. However, the recoil in automatic mode is large and the shooting accuracy will be greatly reduced. It requires the shooter's profound shooting experience to exert its power. Then you'd better teach me to practice single-shot shooting first. Li Xiao originally wanted to try what it felt like to fire a pistol repeatedly, but after hearing that beginners might dislocate their wrists, he decided against it. After half an hour of basic explanations and 10 rounds of live ammunition shooting, Li Xiao mastered his first skill in this world. With a pistol, his uneasy mood has eased a lot. Now at least he has some ability to fight back when in danger. Li Xiao then used the second conscription order. This time he was still a soldier wearing a combat uniform and a helmet, but the difference was that he did not carry a main weapon such as an assault rifle. Instead, he was carrying a dark green alloy toolbox, and in addition to the same marching backpack, there was a multifunctional engineer shovel on his back. Report. Engineer Yiming is ordered to report for duty. It's an engineer. That's great. Li Xiao was overjoyed when he heard that Yiming was an engineer. Engineers specialized in resource collection and construction. He got the engineer troop on the first day, which meant he could collect resources and upgrade the base earlier. It is always better than 2 players who are both combat units. Okay, what should we do now? Let me think about it. Well, let's collect resources first. Yiming, do you know where to collect resources? The information instilled by the system only contains some basic common sense and operating methods, but there was no more specific information, so I had to ask Yiming. After all, he was a professional. Report to Commander. If you want to upgrade your base, you need 3 resources: steel, fuel, and rare minerals. The best way to obtain these 3 resources is to occupy the corresponding production buildings or mineral points. Yiming paused and continued. For example, steel corresponds to steel mills' iron ores, fuel corresponds to refineries' oil wells, and dilute ores correspond to dilute ores. However, most of these places have been occupied by the Black Hawk Empire, and usually a large main force of the Empire is stationed. At this time, Yoon spoke from behind, and Yiming nodded in agreement. Yes, Squad Leader D is telling the truth. In the army, new recruits usually call the veteran who served first as squad leader, but Yiming abides by this tradition very much. What should I do? Can I steal it? Li Xiao frowned and felt unhappy. Commander, given our current limited strength, we cannot launch an effective attack on conventional resource points, so we can only conduct scattered collection, that is, sneak into the war zone, collect scattered resources from the war zone, and accumulate a lot. As soon as Yiming said this, Li Xiao immediately understood that the ability of the engineers to collect resources is actually to sneak into the war zone to pick up junk. Although the speed is not as fast as the automatic mass production of resource buildings, this is the most effective solution at present. With my current ability, I should be able to achieve 5 points of steel or fuel per hour. Of course, rare minerals will be slower. After all, useful rare mineral resources must be removed from a large number of electrical equipment. Okay, it seems that this is the only way. Then let's go now without further delay. Commander, are you going to act in person too? Yoon asked in confusion. Of course, although the base is 100% safe, he can't stay in his own little place and wait to die. Only by going out to get more information can he survive in the harsh war environment in the future. If he is afraid of death, he will die faster. What Li Xiao didn't know was that when he decided to act together, the loyalty of the 2 soldiers had begun to increase quietly. Li Xiao opened the map system, which can switch between 3-dimensional and flat display. The altitude and climate characteristics of various terrains are presented in real-time dynamic display, which is very conducive to observation operations. However, at present, he can only see the terrain conditions within a radius of 1 kilometer from his base, and the places outside are covered by black curtains. It seems that we still need to explore the situation outside. Li Xiao hesitated for a moment and decided to explore the east first, because there was a southwest-northeast road passing by on the map, and perhaps some resources could be collected along the way. Chapter 3 Highway Robbery. 10 minutes later, Li Xiao and the others arrived at a visible edge of the map. Here Li Xiao saw an arc-shaped light curtain extending infinitely to both sides. He tried to touch the light curtain, but there was nothing abnormal. It seems that this is the dividing line of the safe zone. Once we exit this light curtain, we will no longer be protected. Li Xiao took out the pistol from his waist and turned the shooting mode to single shot. He did not doubt the system's warning at all. Maybe some of the 2 billion players who came over had died on the way. He entered the communication channel again. Many people had reported being attacked by unknown forces after leaving the safe zone. What's more, not only did he not even mention the loss of his troops, he himself was seriously injured and begged for help in the chat channel. Although there may be many dangers ahead, Li Xiao resolutely stepped out of the safe zone, advance in concealment. If you encounter the enemy, try to avoid fighting. Li Xiao formulated basic countermeasures and then headed straight to the east without looking back. After an hour of walking, Li Xiao and the others finally approached the highway. In fact, they could have gone faster, but for safety reasons, they basically walked and observed for fear of encountering people. This is a town road, a two-way single lane. It may have just rained a little, so the road surface is soaked, and the cool breeze stirs the leaves on the road. Up or down? Li Xiao asked. He saw some people in both directions, and he didn't know what to choose for a while. Fortunately, Di Yun still had some investigative skills. He carefully checked the tracks on the road and concluded that heading north might be closer to the population gathering area. As for the reason, it's probably that the tire tracks to the northeast are denser. Okay. Let's look north along the highway. Soon their movement trajectory left a winding route on the map, and the real-time environment within a radius of 500 meters along the way was recorded by the map system. After walking about 2 kilometers, Di Yun suddenly found a stone bridge in front of him. Under the bridge was a river about 20 meters wide. On the other side of the bridge, Li Xiao actually saw a checkpoint, a heavy machine gun set up in a circular sandbag fortification. There was a military tent next to it. There were 3 soldiers with guns sitting near a folding dining table outside the tent. The soldiers were wearing black combat uniforms, with their body armor and helmets aside hanging, and they were playing cards. It's the Black Eagle Empire troops, Di Yun immediately said in a deep voice. Is it the Black Eagle Empire that Yiming mentioned before? Yes, Commander. This Black Eagle Empire launched a lightning offensive around the world. Countries were caught off guard. Now more than 70% of the area is under their control. That's right, Yiming followed up. Squad leader Di is right. All units of the Black Eagle Empire's troops wear black combat uniforms. The uniforms generally have Black Eagle dark patterns, which are easy to identify. Li Xiao frowned slightly. Although the river surface was only 20 meters long, the current was a bit turbulent. There was no second place visible to the naked eye on the east and west sides that could be passed quickly. What should I do? Do you want to call me? Time is precious now, and Li Xiao really doesn't want to waste it on detours. Although there are only 3 enemies, there are no bunkers around the bridge, so it is difficult for us to get close. And long-distance attacks cannot guarantee the immediate elimination of the opponent. Once the opponent enters the heavy machine gun fortification, it will be difficult for us to break through. Di Yun quickly analyzed the battlefield situation. Even Li Xiao, who did not understand military matters, knew that the bridgehead position composed of these 3 people, not to mention that Di Yun among them was considered to have normal combat effectiveness. Even if a squad of troops came over, it is difficult to defeat without heavy firepower, but commanders don't have to worry too much. There must be fuel and food supplies in their tents. We can wait until the night to conduct a sneak attack. By then, the problem of fuel as a resource will be solved, and our food problem will also be solved. Yes, there is food. Yiming didn't mention it, but Li Xiao hasn't remembered it yet. Although Di Yun and Yiming both brought their own field rations, they wouldn't be there after eating. The goes same for bullets, which cannot be refreshed or reset. Now they can only be captured when used up. Li Xiao glanced at the sky. It was now noon, and there were still 8 or 9 hours before nightfall. No, this is a waste of time. We must find another way. As Li Xiaozhang was talking, a car horn suddenly sounded behind him. The 3 of them looked back and saw a jeep painted in jungle camouflage approaching quickly. The car was very fast. It should have a speed of 70 yards, but it was still clear that there was a Black Hawk Empire soldier in the car, and he should be an officer. The car stopped at the bridge checkpoint for a while and then drove away. The 3 soldiers returned to the table after just a routine inspection. Seeing this, Li Xiao suddenly had a bold idea. Come on, let's hijack a car. Carjacking? What does the commander want to do? Yiming asked. Diyun seemed to understand after hearing Li Xiao's words. Commander, it's a great idea. I think I can give it a try. Li Xiao nodded to Diyun, and the two of them retreated regardless of the confused Yiming. About 3 or 4 kilometers away from the bridge, Li Xiao said to Yiming, Yiming, we need to hijack a car now and then enter the checkpoint for a raid. Is there any way you can break the tire? Ah. So that's it, I really have something that can break a tire. Yiming suddenly realized and quickly opened his toolbox. Li Xiao and Diyun looked over and saw that there were many things in the toolbox, including portable hydraulic pliers, a complete set of maintenance tools and electronic measuring equipment, and even detonators and C4 explosives. However, these were not what he wanted to use. He took out a row of diamond-shaped folded steel objects from the toolbox compartment, one of which had a sharp 4-centimeter conical nail. Li Xiao saw this and it was very familiar. It was specially used to prevent tires from being hit, but he forgot what the professional name was. Anti-riot spikes, 2 meters long, can be used to deal with non-military grade explosion-proof tires, Yiming whispered. We only need to place it in a slightly undulating concave position on the road surface, so that it is not easy for oncoming vehicles to detect it in advance and respond in time. That's it. Li Xiao immediately asked Yiming to start arranging spikes. And they looked for roadside shelters with good shooting range on the roadside to wait for the prey to take the bait. Half an hour later, a black off-road vehicle appeared, driving over at a speed of nearly 80 kilometers per hour. Li Xiao silently opened the safety of his pistol. As expected, the driver of the off-road vehicle slowed down after finding a slight depression in the ground ahead, but then they seemed to see the ground spike that suddenly appeared. Squeak, a sharp sound of sudden braking sounded, and green smoke came out from under the wheels of the off-road vehicle. The driver stepped on the brakes to the bottom, but still failed to stop the off-road vehicle from driving over the ground spike. Bang! In the end, the left front wheel of the off-road vehicle still failed to bypass the ground spike and the tire exploded on the spot. Chapter 4. Get the first kill of the Major? Soon 2 passengers jumped out of the car. One of them was wearing a black military coat, holding a pistol in both hands and staring around nervously. The person in the driver's seat was holding a rifle and using the car door as a cover to guard the rear. Tisk, he's actually a major officer. Diyun looked through the holographic scope on the rifle and said with some surprise, Oh, Major. Li Xiao looked over, and sure enough he saw that the man in the military coat had a bright 7-cornered golden flower on his slightly exposed collar badge, and there was a gold thread at the bottom. Does this mean Major? Of course. If that flower were silver it would be the lieutenant colonel. Li Xiao was secretly happy. He didn't expect to encounter a big fish today. After an officer and a soldier were alert for a long time, they found that there was no movement. The soldier ran to the back of the off-road vehicle and opened the trunk. After a while, he pulled out a spare tire and started changing it. A major officer took over the soldier's assault rifle and continued to remain on alert. Diyun, can you shoot that major in the head? That major's fighting ability is very strong at first glance. If he is not killed immediately, his own people will suffer a loss. It won't last for a second. Commander, why? Even if he is hit in the chest from a distance of 40 meters, he will be incapacitated. If Yiming and I shoot again, he will definitely die. Li Xiao turned his head and looked at Diyun. This guy probably didn't look that good. Diyun obviously knew what Li Xiao was thinking, and he said slowly, at such a close distance, I can indeed get a headshot 90% of the time, but this major level officer has 1,000 points of health, HP. 1,000 points. Li Xiao was a little surprised, but then he remembered that Diyun's information he had seen earlier showed that he had blood volume. Yes, when my QBZ-19 assault rifle hits the target with a Kevlar helmet, the damage will be reduced by 40%, with a maximum of only 50 to 60 points. Even if the opponent only wears a military hat now, I can only knock off 90 to 95 points. Damn. There's still such a thing. Li Xiao was depressed. He thought he had traveled to another world and life and death were only a matter of bullets. He didn't expect that the system could still play like this. In this way, the major's blood volume is equal to 10 Diyun, which is still a light, but it's not that I can't do anything at all. Diyun suddenly said again, I have an offensive and defensive grenade in my hand. Its damage value is 95 points when the target is unprotected within a 2-meter range, then this is far from enough. Li Xiao asked anxiously. Don't worry, Commander, Di-Yun curled his lips and said, although the damage to people is only over 90 points, and even private soldiers are not easily killed in seconds, the damage to vehicles such as off-road vehicles is as high as 1,800 points. So what? The durability limit of an ordinary military off-road vehicle like this is 2,000 points. When the grenade consumes most of its durability, the remaining blood skin only needs 5 or 6 bullets from the assault rifle to burn it off, and the vehicle's durability is exhausted. It will definitely detonate the fuel tank and cause an explosion. This damage can reach 500 points within a 2-meter range. 500 points. Li Xiao's eyes lit up. He calculated this way. The damage of the grenade loading device can not only directly kill the soldiers in seconds, but the officer will also be knocked out by nearly 600 points of health. Made. Fight like this. Wealth can be found in danger. After Li Xiao made his decision, Di-Yun took out a grenade and handed it to Yiming. How is your grenade throwing technique? Don't worry, I can still guarantee the distance of 40 meters. Yiming took the grenade and bumped it in his hand. Okay, Commander, let's wait for the moment when Yiming throws the grenade and focus on the enemy major at the same time. We will cover up the sound of the grenade landing and reduce his health as much as possible. Okay, Li Xiao was full of confidence. His spirit was already getting excited, and now he was starting to risk his life. Yiming skillfully pulled out the safety pin of the grenade, and then threw it towards the off-road vehicle with all his strength. Bang! Ta-ta-ta-ta! Bang bang! Almost at the same time, Di-Yun pulled the trigger of the QBZ-19 rifle. The clear gunshots of the QBZ-19 rifle resounded through the forest, and a 3-shot burst hit the major officer instantly. As expected of a major, the major immediately made a move to lie down on the spot as soon as the gun was fired. But no matter how fast it was still a beat slower than the bullet. Di-Yun's first bullet accurately hit his forehead, and the huge penetration force made the major officer lean back. But it was just this one shot, and all subsequent bullets, including Li Xiao's, were avoided. Li Xiao could also see the health bar on the opponent's head flashing. Although there was no specific value, it was indeed missing by nearly 1/10. The major officer rolled around on the spot and hid behind the rear wheel. Di-Yun did not give the opponent any chance to counterattack and fired continuously at the front of the car. The bullets made a crackling sound on the hood. The officer had a sullen expression and was about to raise his gun to fight back when suddenly 2 loud noises were heard in his ears, and a powerful shock wave instantly knocked him 3 or 4 meters away. Look at the off-road vehicle flipped upside down in the explosion, with all 4 wheels in the air. The soldiers who were repairing the tires went up directly to the sky. At the same time, Li Xiao found that 2 numbers, 1 red and 1 basket, appeared in the left and right corners of his vision, which were 100 and 2,000 respectively. What's this? Li Xiao was a little surprised by the sudden number, but he had no time to think about it at this moment. Followed. Di-Yun saw the major officer being knocked away and rushed forward. Yiming closely with his automatic pistol. It seemed that Di-Yun wanted to kill him while he was sick. QBZ-19 fired continuously, and bullet shells rang on the ground continuously. Several bullets hit the major officer and reduced his health by more than 200 points. But the major officer also woke up from the explosion. He held Di-Yun's bullets and lay on the ground, raised his rifle and fired. Di-Yun sensed the danger and dodged immediately, but 2 bullets still hit his chest. Fortunately, Di-Yun was wearing a bulletproof vest, and 2 shots took away more than half of his health. Seeing that Di-Yun avoided his gun line, the major officer did not intend to let him go. He climbed up and held the gun with both hands. Aiming the crosshairs at Di-Yun again at this critical moment, Yiming, who followed behind, fired rapidly with a 05 automatic pistol. Several bullets hit the major officer's head and killed him on the spot. Li Xiao, who followed, finally breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the major officer dead. He didn't expect that such a detailed calculation would almost kill Di-Yun. Soon Yiming and Di-Yun found 60 rifle bullets and 20 pistol bullets, as well as a rifle and a pistol from the 2 bodies. In addition, they also found the universal currency of this planet, Star Coin. The encrypted electronic currency using an anonymous chip card as a carrier can be used to trade with the natives of this planet. Chapter 5, Pool of Life. But this is not the point. At the same second when the major officer was killed, Li Xiao found that the red number in the upper right corner of his field of vision suddenly jumped to 1001. This reminded him of the health of the 2 Black Hawk Empire soldiers and the durability of the off-road vehicle. Because their blood volume happened to be 1001, and Di Yun had said before that the off-road vehicle should be about 2,000. But what Li Xiao didn't understand was why the system marked these values. Just when he was puzzled, Yi Ming suddenly shouted in surprise, "Commander, I have been promoted." Promotion title. Li Xiao quickly walked over and opened Yi Ming's information, and sure enough, he found that his military rank had suddenly jumped from private to private. The blood volume increased from 100 to 300 points. The comprehensive ability rating has also been improved from G level 1 star to G level 5 stars. Tisk. Li Xiao couldn't help but sigh. The experience value of a major officer was strong enough to allow a private to reach the 4th level, directly skipping the rank of 3, 2, first class, and reach the rank of first class private. It seems that a major officer can provide about 100 points of merit. He quickly looked at Di Yun's rank. Unfortunately, he was not the one to shoot a major officer, so Di Yun only received 2 merit points for killing and destroying an infantryman and a vehicle. However, when Li Xiao was checking their information, he suddenly discovered that a plus sign appeared behind the 2 people's health points. He clearly remembered that there was no information when he looked at it before. Combining the data in his field of view, Li Xiao vaguely felt that there was probably a relationship between the two. Out of curiosity, Li Xiao clicked on Di Yun's health plus sign, and then a prompt panel popped up that made him extremely excited. "Would you like to increase the maximum health limit for Private Di Yun?" Damn it! Is there still such an operation? Li Xiao doesn't know how to fix this prompt box. Can the upper limit of his health be increased by himself? Isn't it necessary to increase the blood volume by upgrading the military rank? He knew that the upper limit of health points would be increased by 50 points for each level from private to private, but the system did not tell him that he could add health points by himself. There was no hesitation. Li Xiao directly clicked to confirm, and then another prompt panel popped up. "Please enter the additional amount of Di Yun's health." Note, the current total health pool is 1,100. Really? At this moment, Li Xiao was very sure that that number was the sum of the health points of the enemies he had killed. In other words, doesn't it mean that your troops can gain unlimited health? No, the system will come up with such a terrifying setting. However, this is indeed a fact. Li Xiao casually assigned 1,000 points of blood to Di Yun, but he didn't expect it to succeed. At this moment, despite being a private, Di Yun already had more health than a major. It's absolutely terrifying. It's good now. We are more confident in building a bridge. You quickly change into their clothes and we will set off now. Li Xiao didn't have time to find out what was going on with this life pool. More than half of the first day had passed, and he still hadn't obtained any resources. But at this moment, Yi Ming took out a cutting machine from nowhere and was cutting the already scrapped off-road vehicle. Yi Ming, what are you doing? Of course I'm collecting steel, Yi Ming said while cutting. After upgrading just now, my collecting ability has been strengthened. Now I can reach 10 points of steel or fuel per hour, and I can also reach 2 points of rare ore. It's only 10 o'clock every hour, so the speed is really slow. Upgrading the ability first level base requires 120 points of resources, and he only has a safety time limit of 48 hours, which can be said to be quite tight. Yi Ming pursed his lips and said helplessly, "Commander, I'm already pretty close. If I didn't upgrade, it would be 2 o'clock every hour. And this is on the premise that there are enough collection points." The collection points Yi Ming mentioned are actually resource areas. All towns and villages are resource areas, including garbage dumps on the roadside or damaged vehicles on the battlefield. The prerequisite for the engineer to fully play its role in resource collection is that it must be within the resource area. Otherwise, if you ask him to go deep into the mountains and old forests, the collection amount will be basically zero. It's better to abandon this off-road vehicle first. Li Xiao thought for a while and said, "There seem to be a lot of vehicles on this road. Your collection time is too long. I'm afraid it will be troublesome if we encounter a large group of enemy troops again. Let's go straight to the bridge and find a way to kill those 3 people and get some food first." Although the off-road vehicle is gone, the 2 sets of military uniforms are still there. If everything goes well, you can sneak in front of the opponent and then attack suddenly, so at least you will not be destroyed by heavy machine guns from a distance. According to the plan, Di Yun carried the pistol and Yi Ming equipped the enemy's rifle and approached on foot. Li Xiao responded from a distance and would immediately provide reinforcements if the situation went wrong. Di Yun was still very courageous, so the 2 of them put on Black Eagle Empire military uniforms and pretended to be out of breath as they walked onto the bridge. The 3 defenders who were playing cards discovered them and stood up one after another. One of the soldiers even directly entered the heavy machine gun position. Stop. Who is it? Di-Yun was stopped by the other party when he was still 20 meters away from the bridge on the other side. Although the people blocking the road did not draw their guns, the muzzles of the heavy machine guns followed them. Sir, no one taught you to respect your superiors. Facing the guard's inquiry, Di-Yun did not panic. When he saw that the other party's collar badge displayed the rank of private, he began to assume the posture of a major. When Di-Yun said this, the three of them took a closer look and all stood at attention. Sorry sir. Please tell me what we need to do. Di-Yun breathed a sigh of relief, turned around and motioned for Yiming to follow, and the two of them arrived in front of the tent. He glanced at the senior soldier who just spoke, and said with a serious expression, "We were attacked by unknown forces armed a few kilometers ahead and lost our vehicle. I want to use your satellite phone to contact the headquarters." "Yes. This way, sir." After hearing this, the superior soldier stepped forward without any doubt and pulled up the tent curtain. Di-Yun took a look and saw that there was indeed a communication radio and a satellite phone inside. Yeah, good. The corner of Di-Yun's mouth curled up. Before the soldier could realize the reason for his evil smile, the next second he saw the black muzzle of the gun pressed in front of his head. Bang 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 bang, puff 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 puff. At the same time that Di-Yun's pistol fired, Yiming, who was already standing behind the other two Imperial soldiers, also pulled the trigger. At the same time the first-class soldier with 300 horsepower was instantly killed by Di-Yun's 4 close-range headshots. The other two privates were also killed by several shots each. I'm afraid not many people can react normally to such a sudden attack. After killing these 3 people, Li Xiao saw that the life pool had indeed increased by 500 points. It seemed that the connection between the two was beyond doubt. Look what's in the tent, Li Xiao said excitedly. After struggling for a long time, he finally made some progress. Chapter 6, Seeing Injustice. Yiming opened another tent and said happily, "Commander, we are lucky. There are nearly 50 sets of individual soldier rations and 20 points of fuel here." Li Xiao walked over and saw 5 cartons labeled with food and 2 barrels full of fuel in the tent. He stretched out his hand and swept all the loot into his 100-slot system backpack. Each space in the backpack that comes with his system can store the same item unlimitedly, which can be said to be very convenient. Now we don't have to worry about food for at least a few days. In addition to food and fuel, the rifles, 200 rifle ammunition and the Mk-48 heavy machine gun left by the 3 Imperial soldiers also became Li Xiao's possessions. Let's go. We have to get out of here as soon as possible, otherwise it will be difficult for us to get out if someone comes later. Although it took a long time to get 20 points of fuel, Li Xiao was still very satisfied. They continued to search north as planned, and they had to find at least a resource area before they could stop while on the road. Li Xiao also took a look at the national channel. At present, almost all players are collecting resources everywhere, and battles are common, but what surprised him was that almost no one mentioned the setting of the life pool. It is said that such an important situation cannot be discussed by no one. Not believing in evil, he repeatedly logged into multiple chat channels at random, but still did not see any relevant information. This is a little strange. Li Xiao scratched his head, then turned around and opened the trading system. Since the international trading section was not opened, transactions were currently conducted between players from various countries. Although it has only been half a day, the trading center has already listed a variety of resources, the most common of which are various weapons, but the 3 major building resources have not been seen at all. Think about it, this is normal. If you win the early fights, there will definitely be extra guns. As for the bullets, there will definitely be a shortage. As for food, according to the tradition of Shanglong people that food is their first priority, they will definitely dig deep holes and accumulate food. Li Xiao also mounted the Mk-48 heavy machine gun, along with 200 rounds of 12.6mm bullets. What should I exchange for? Well, let's just exchange for 20 points of rare ore. He thought that it was a heavy machine gun after all, so it wouldn't be too much to exchange it for 20 points of rare minerals. The 3 of them walked for almost 10 kilometers, and finally a group of buildings appeared in front of them. The sun was almost setting in the west. The building complex in front of me looks like a small town. The road passes through the town and continues to the north. From the outside, most of the buildings in the town have been shelled, and they look like ruins. Many destroyed vehicles could be seen on the side of the road, ranging from ordinary household cars to military trucks. He even saw an armored vehicle that had been blown to pieces. Look! Those are steel resources. We can temporarily collect resources here, Yiming reminded. Well, let's stay here, but first we need to make sure it's safe in the town. Worried that there might be Black Hawk Empire troops in the town, Li Xiao did not enter rashly. He first distributed the 500 health points gained from killing the bridgehead defenders to Di Yun and Yiming at this time. Di Yun's health points had reached 1,400 points. Yiming himself had 300 points, plus the previous 100 points and the 200 points this time, and he also had 600 points of health. After an hour of observation, Li Xiao decided to enter the town when it was almost dark. The name of the town is marked on the intersection of the town as Wufang Town. Although the town does not look big from the outside, the buildings inside are very dense at this time. The streets of the town were silent, and it seemed like an abandoned place. However, it could also be seen that before the war, this was a township with a population of at least 4,000 to 5,000 people. Yiming, collect them nearby, and we'll help you guard the surroundings. Yes, Commander. Yiming saluted, picked up his portable cutter and began to dismantle the scrapped cars. Li Xiao calculated the time and found that it was already tomorrow to collect all the resources to upgrade the base. They could only rest here tonight. After taking out 3 portions of field rations from his backpack and giving them to Di Yun and the other 2, Li Xiao couldn't wait to eat them. After a day of hard work, Li Xiao's physical strength was almost exhausted. Without the conditions to make a fire, the canned beef can only be eaten directly, but the chocolate energy bars and soda crackers inside taste really good, and after eating, there is a bag of packaged cold drinks. As night falls, Yiming's cutting machine rubs out dense sparks on the steel plate, adding a strange light to the lifeless town. Just when Li Xiao was drowsy from waiting, suddenly there was a muffled sound from the north of the town, followed by gunshots. It's a fragmentation grenade. There are players. He heard the explosion of offensive and defensive grenades at noon, and he immediately knew that a player must have been attacked. Li Xiao called Di Yun and Yiming to follow him first to see what was going on. If there was an advantage he could take advantage of, that would be even better. The sound of gunfire was not very far away. After running 200 to 300 meters, I saw gunfire flying in front of me. Several rifles on the street were firing violently at the window of a 2-story building. When they got closer, they realized that they were actually a whole group of Black Hawk Empire soldiers, with enough people to form a squad, and they were also equipped with squad machine guns. This should be the patrol of the Black Hawk Empire. They use AK-112 assault rifles. They are not only equipped with squad machine guns, but also M3E recoilless rocket launchers. I'll go. And a rocket launcher? Li Xiao was shocked. This patrol team was equipped with a rocket launcher. What would they do in the future? As soon as he finished speaking, he heard a whoosh, and a flash of fire instantly illuminated the street. Then there was a violent explosion in the small building, and the glass fragments of the doors and windows were shaking all over the street. The 2 guns that were originally firing on the second floor suddenly stopped firing, and only a pistol on the first floor was left struggling. The sound of the 05 type gun was really lonely and pitiful. Should I fight or not? His current output seemed to be insufficient, and his blood volume was insufficient. But it would be a pity to miss the opportunity to sneak attack and pick up leaks in front of him. Li Xiao was still hesitating here, and suddenly there was another explosion. A fragmentation grenade exploded on the street. It seemed that this should be the last struggle of the player in the building. The position of this grenade was good, and it directly knocked down 2 Imperial soldiers, and 2 others were seriously injured. Li Xiao saw that the enemy had been reduced by half, and immediately asked Di Yun and Yiming, who had been prepared, to open fire. In the darkness, a third party suddenly erupted with firepower. 2 Imperial soldiers who were seriously injured by grenades were killed by Di Yun first. The remaining 4 Imperial soldiers found that they were under attack from both sides and decisively retreated to the side of the street. Di Yun and Yiming took advantage of the situation and advanced to the front of the small building. Li Xiao went into the building and was about to shout when a cold shot suddenly came from the darkness. Don't move. Chapter 7 Fleeting Years. Ah, brother, don't get me wrong, we are compatriots, I'm here to save you. Li Xiao sounded like a young man and explained hurriedly. After hearing his words, a man with short broken hair, fair face, and stern appearance walked out of the darkness. The opponent was wearing a full black combat uniform, holding a Type 05 automatic pistol in both hands, and his eyes were red. It seemed that he had been prepared to die just now. Sorry, I was a little nervous just now. I thought it was some other local forces, The man gently wiped the sweat from his forehead. No one could be calm about the current situation where he could die at any time. Li Xiao waved his hand. Let's not talk so much now. Let's talk after we settle the situation. After speaking, Li Xiao ran out again. The Imperial patrol on the opposite side did not intend to let them go. They still used vehicles and street shops as bunkers to continuously suppress their gun line at this time. Without thinking, Li Xiao directly added the 200 points of blood he had just obtained to Di Yun, and then said to him, Di Yun, attack directly. Yes, the high blood volume of 1,600 points gave Di Yun great courage. He took a deep breath and quickly ran out from behind the bunker. Upon seeing this, Yiming stood up and shot across the road to suppress the firepower on the other side and provide cover for Di Yun. The visibility at night was not very good. It was not until Di Yun rushed across the road that 4 Imperial soldiers discovered him. They were so frightened that they quickly turned their guns and focused their fire. Di Yun, who had no cover, immediately took several shots and his health dropped to 1,100 points. However, at this time, he also successfully approached the enemy's cover with a roll. Di Yun avoided the lines of 3 guns coming from inside the store. Di Yun rushed to a scrap truck. When he raised his head, he came face to face with an Imperial soldier. The enemy did not hesitate to raise his gun and start to sweep away, but Di Yun was one step ahead. 2 rifle bullets hit the opponent's face in succession and sent him away without a frontal threat. Di Yun became more courageous. He leaned to the side of the street, and the Imperial soldiers scattered in several shops lost sight of him. He randomly selected a shop and rushed in. The Imperial soldiers guarding inside opened fire immediately. 3 bullets hit Di Yun in the chest and consumed more than 180 points of his blood. But that was all. Di Yun had given up the rifle now and used the more flexible pistol. He even had the time to aim at the soldier's head. Bang bang, 2 headshots killed the soldier. At the same time, Yiming also ran across the road and killed another soldier while exchanging blood. Just as the 2 were preparing to join forces to kill the last enemy, Li Xiao saw the Imperial soldier coming out of the store with a rocket launcher and aiming it at Di Yun's store. Fuck. Di Yun and Yiming, be careful, Li Xiao shouted, raised his gun and fired, trying to interrupt the other party, but unfortunately, my marksmanship was really poor, and I didn't hit even 2 shots. But at this moment, a gunshot rang out next to him, and the man before him fired a shot. The bullet hit the last Imperial soldier in the head, followed by a whooshing sound, and the rocket flew out of the barrel. Boom. In a cloud of sparks and smoke, the shot caused the Imperial soldier's fatal blow to miss. And the rocket hit the store sign. Di Yun and Yiming, who had not yet come out, survived. Li Xiao breathed heavily, almost losing 2 of his men. It's so fucking exciting. After the battle, the blood volume of Di Yun and Yiming began to recover at a very slow speed. At this time, the young man also came over. Brother, thank you for your help. Li Xiao looked at the buddy in front of him. There was no expression of survival on his face, but his expression of thanks was still quite sincere. Hey, it's nothing. Just do whatever you can when you're out and about. Today I'm going to save others, and I just hope that one day I can be helped by someone else. The young man nodded. Brother, my name is Liunian. If you don't mind, let's add each other as friends. I don't have anything to offer you now to thank you. I will definitely make up for it when I have the opportunity in the future. This world looks like a game, but death is everywhere. Everyone may have to consider every step they take, so Li Xiao really saved this man's life today. Li Xiao waved his hands and said nonchalantly, we are all poor. I don't want to save you for any reason. I see that both of your soldiers were killed. It's better to find a place to squat until the recruitment order is refreshed tomorrow. That's all we can do now. Li Unian smiled helplessly, but he seemed to think of something again. By the way, I have 20 points of fuel here that I got this afternoon. Take it. After Li Unian finished speaking, he took out 2 oil drums from his backpack and continued, you should accept this first no matter what. This, to be honest, Li Xiao was excited. 20 points of fuel could save 4 hours of collection time. He thought for a moment that he was not a saint, so why not use it if it was beneficial? To be honest, if you want something else, I might be embarrassed to ask for it, but if you want resources, I really can't refuse. Haha. My brother is really upright. If you accept this thing, I will relax a lot. I never like to owe favors. I am determined to make you my friend. Li Xiao became friends with Liunian and began to clean up the battlefield. Originally, he only planned to take the weapons and equipment of the 6 people he killed, and he did not want the two people killed by Liu Nian, but Liu Nian insisted again and again, and Li Xiao had no choice but to be disrespectful. In the end, he got a total of 42 star coins from this patrol team. With the star coins he got from the major earlier, he already had 65 stars coins. He imported all the star coins into a card, and threw away the extra cards. Then there were 8 AK-112 assault rifles, an M3E recoilless rocket launcher, and more than 400 rifle bullets. Li Xiao definitely couldn't use so many guns, so he threw them directly to the trading center. It's a pity that the rocket launcher has no ammunition, otherwise it will definitely sell for a good price. Liu Nian collected the guns and ammunition of his dead subordinates, walked over and said seriously, "I observed for a few hours before. There are no other imperial strongholds around this town, but some small imperial troops often pass by. I think it can be used as a long-term resource point. How about we live in peace and use it together?" "Of course I have no objection," Li Xiao nodded. "Anyway, I can't use it all by myself. Resource points cannot be collected infinitely. Each has a fixed amount, and it is randomly refreshed within the resource area at midnight every day. Wufang Town has 200 points of steel, 100 points of fuel, and 50 points of rare ore every day, which is enough for the two families to share. Well, I'll leave first, and we'll talk again when we have time." After saying that, Liu Nian turned around and disappeared into the darkness. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8 Base Upgrade. Li Xiao stood with his hands on his waist for a while. To be honest, although this world is game-like, it is really risking one's life, and it is obvious that the power of one person is absolutely limited. Making friends and advancing and retreating together must be the mainstream in the future. But whether this Liu Nian is worthy of his trust remains to be verified. After all, bullets are ruthless, and no matter how many troops there are, it is difficult to prevent black guns. Yiming worked until midnight, first collecting 50 points of fuel, and then continued to collect steel, but he didn't expect that in the morning, he would get a big surprise. Someone actually gave him 20 points of rare ore to buy his Mk48 heavy machine gun, so at 9 o'clock in the morning, Li Xiao finally raised enough resources to upgrade the base. Let's go. Go home. After returning to the base along the original route of the map, Li Xiao quickly opened the base information panel. Investing all the required resources, he pressed the upgrade button. Then he heard a sound of mechanical rotation, and the original concrete bungalow was wrapped in a layer of light film. About 10 or 20 minutes later, Li Xiao heard a system prompt. The base has been upgraded to level 2, and the building, barracks, is now available. The main building of the upgraded base has changed from a small bungalow to a 2-story building of 50 square meters. At the same time, he found that the surrounding woodland was directly developed into a flat concrete floor, covering an area of 200 square meters. That's it. Li Xiao shook his head. As expected, he couldn't have too much hope. This was just like a self-built house in the countryside, and it couldn't be called a base. He checked the newly opened barracks in the system and found that it was just an auxiliary building, mainly to provide daily living for his troops. A barracks costs 20 points of steel and an additional 50 star coins, and can provide accommodation for 10 soldiers. It includes toilets, bathrooms, and even lockers, covering an area of about 60 square meters. You say this is a game, every aspect is so real. You say it is reality. The system's ability is simply subverting the scientific view. Li Xiao felt that he was confused and couldn't tell the game from reality. Let's use today's conscription order first. Li Xiao took out the conscription order from the base information panel and used it directly. He still had a lot of rations, enough to support 2 more soldiers. The first conscription order gave another engineer. The burly man named Zhang Lang carrying a mountain axe gave people a high sense of security. Li Xiao is currently in need of engineers. Zhang Lang's arrival can allow him to be promoted to the next level before the end of the safety period. Then the second subscription order gave a soldier with a scout profession, named Zhao Fipen. If the army infantry like Yun belongs to the frontal attack and defense force, then the army scout is a spearhead force that serves as the nose, eyes and monitoring probes for the infantry or armored infantry. They often act low-key, but have unique skills and strong combat effectiveness. Zhao Fipeng's basic equipment is the same as Yi Yun's. The difference is that their rifles and pistols are equipped with silencers, and they carry low-light night vision devices, which can be used for night reconnaissance and sentry missions. Yiming, Yu and Zhang Lang continue to go to Wufang Town to collect resources. If you encounter an enemy, you cannot engage in battle, you can only evacuate urgently. Understood. In order to improve their survivability, Li Xiao added the remaining 400 horsepower points from last night's killing to them. In this way, Yiming has 600 horsepower points, and Zhang Lang has 300 horsepower points, so the chances of surviving an attack are greatly increased. And he didn't let Di Yun and Zhao Fipeng idle here. Yesterday, he had already learned about the situation in the northeast, and no other bases were found nearby for the time being. Today he had to conduct reconnaissance in the southwest. The safe period was about to end, and the real challenge in this world had just begun. For the sake of his life, he had to be extremely careful. After sending all the troops out, Li Xiao became a little bored staying on the second floor of the base command center, so he opened the chat interface again. Now no matter which channel he randomly went to, almost everyone was talking about how difficult it was to collect resources and how powerful the Black Hawk Empire troops were. But there was no news about the life pool. This made him wonder whether this life pool was standard for time travelers. Of course, the chat channel was not full of meaningless complaints and nonsense. At least he found that ammunition and food were now more scarce than resources because some players have upgraded their bases, but they found that after the upgrade, except that the base was more beautiful than before, it seemed to be useless. On the contrary, due to frequent battles and food shortages, many players can only hide in the safe zone to look for opportunities. The food issue is actually easy to solve. They found that the ecological environment of this world is very good. Whether it is in the forest or in the river, wild goods and fishery resources are quite rich. Yesterday, when they were on the road, they encountered groups of roe deer, pheasants, hares, etc., jumping up and down. Such a scene is probably hard to see in most places on the original Earth. Even if the wildlife protection law has been introduced for so long, it is difficult to restore to the level of Hanhaxing, but the problem of ammunition is not easy to solve. Each soldier is born with only a basic amount of ammunition. In modern warfare, if it is not a close combat, being able to kill an enemy with 100 or 200 rounds at a certain distance is considered a master, but even if the enemy dies, the bullets that explode may not be enough to cover the consumed bullets. So now there are quite a lot of orders in the trading center for exchanging resources for ammunition. After a day of fighting yesterday, Li Xiao captured thousands of rifle ammunition, but in fact, one person could not even reach a basic number. So he couldn't afford to exchange bullets for resources at noon. Zhang Lang returned to the base first. He brought back 40 points of steel, which was the harvest of 2 engineers in a morning. Li Xiao immediately put the barracks into construction, so that the troops would have a place to rest when they came back at night, which was good for their physical recovery. At the same time, he also learned that an engineer of Liunian was collecting resources in Wufang Town. According to the consensus reached with Liunian before, he could collect 100 points of steel today, but because of the other side was missing an engineer, Liunian's share could not be eaten up, so he was naturally happy to serve and take away the resources that the other side could not digest. It didn't take long for the barracks to be completed. This barracks was equivalent to a large version of the first-level base command, with a Syrian battlefield version of the decoration style. As soon as he walked in, he saw 5 bunk beds with iron frames, all covered with the grass-green sheets and quilts. The toilet and bathroom took up 15 square meters. The lockers were next to the corners, and there were shelves for storing guns and equipment next to them. This looks a bit like a military camp. Li Xiao left the barracks with satisfaction. He still had field rations for lunch. There was no other way. He had no time to think about eating now. He could only wait until conditions were better in the future to improve. Li Xiao stuffed the last piece of soda cracker into his mouth and was about to drink a sip of water. Suddenly, Zhao Fipeng's shout came from outside the forest, and he ran out quickly. Zhao Fipeng ran to Li Xiao breathlessly and said anxiously, "Commander, we found a Black Hawk Empire material transfer site 6 kilometers to the south." Chapter 9 Conflict. Material Transfer Station. Li Xiao asked, "What kind of facility is this?" "This is a temporary cargo yard used by the Black Hawk Empire to transfer supplies, and we found that a few kilometers south of this transfer yard is Zichan." Li Xiao opened the map and saw that Zhao Fipeng's footprints had extended for more than 10 kilometers to the south, and some of the terrain and urban buildings in the northern part of Zicheng were vaguely visible. The material transfer station they were talking about was located in the newly opened forest farm next to the road leading directly to Zicheng. What are the materials they need to transfer? Food, ammo, fuel, Zhao Fipeng added. They are encircling and suppressing the remaining Xianai Republic troops in Zicheng. These are supplies for the Empire's frontline troops. Wow, then these are the supplies I urgently need. How many people are stationed at the transfer station? A company, poof. Li Xiao almost choked on his saliva. Even if you say nothing, you are a fool. What? Fipeng, let's just forget about the meat that we can't eat in the future, okay? Zhao Fipeng shrugged. Commander, I don't mean to ask you to capture the transfer station, but the garrison at this transfer station is searching outwards to set up defenses. And we are only 4 or 5 kilometers away from them, and our base is very likely to be occupied. Discover, that's right, it seems like we need to plan carefully. There was a company with hundreds of enemies hanging around near him. Li Xiao felt that he must not be able to sleep well at night, and he had to find a solution to this matter. In the afternoon, Di Yun also came back. Together, the three of they decided to observe the outside of the transfer field tonight to see if there was any chance to make a move. But the plan couldn't keep up with the change. In the evening, before they set off, bad news came from Wufang town. The fleeting engineering soldiers were attacked while collecting resources. Fortunately, they were able to withdraw in time with the reinforcements of Yiming and Jianglang. Li Xiao heard this situation and rushed over with people. It was already 11 o'clock in the evening when he met Liunian. In an abandoned cafe on the south side of Wufang town, Li Xiao learned that the ones who attacked Liunian turned out to be 2 time travelers. Damn! We are all compatriots, can't we live in peace together? Li Xiao was very angry. Although he had traveled to this planet now, it was the same as land reclamation in a game. The resources were first come, first served. Would you spend time looking for other resource areas? Since you came to the door yourself, don't blame me for being rude, Li Unian said with a serious expression. The other party has 4 people in each family. Except for 3 engineers, the other 5 are infantry. We are at a disadvantage in terms of numbers and we may not be able to fight. It's just 8 privates. I've captured a small group of Imperial patrols, and I can't cure them. Li Xiao immediately called Zhao Fipeng and asked him to conduct an investigation immediately and find a way to find out the enemy's location. In just half an hour, Zhao Fipeng came back. The 2 men led their men to collect rare mineral resources directly around the town square. The 5 infantrymen each defended a direction and protected the engineers in the square. There is a road on the east side of the square, and the terrain on the north side is empty. We can only attack from the west and south sides. Zhao Fipeng drew out the terrain of the square on the ground and marked the defensive positions of several enemy players with stones. Li Xiao pointed to the west side and said to Liunian, Brother Liunian, to keep Wufang town, we have to work together. What do you think of the 2 people you are responsible for on the west side? Liunian smiled slightly. This is natural. Although I only have 1 infantryman, I am not afraid, okay? As soon as my gun fires, you will act accordingly. After formulating an attack plan, Li Xiao led his men straight to the south. There are more than a dozen residential buildings on the south side of the square. There are various trees below, which serve as cover for Li Xiao and others approaching the square. Then under the moonlight and the dotted lights on the opposite side, Li Xiao could see 3 engineers working in an electrical appliance shop. At the junction of the square and the highway it was a small single-family bungalow with an area of 50 square meters. 5 soldiers were on guard around the square, while 2 players were sitting at the door chatting. It's quite leisurely. Each of your 2 groups is responsible for the 3 people on the south and east sides. Be sure to kill them as soon as you fire. Clear? Li Xiao asked Di Yun and the others to divide into 2 groups and move forward from the left and right. They started crawling forward when they were still more than 100 meters away from the electrical appliance store. In fact, there are some scrapped cars parked in the square, and some rocks and garbage piles are scattered here and there, which just makes it easier for our people to get closer to the target. The moon is a bit big tonight, so the reflection on the ground makes it easy for them to be spotted. Fortunately, the whole process was relatively easy. When Zhao Fipeng was still more than 50 meters away from the enemy, he signaled Di Yun and others behind him to stop advancing. Then everyone began to look for cover. Zhao Fipeng gently pulled the gun bolt and loaded it, and then buried his head. Li Xiao saw that his people were already in place, and looked to the west. There were flower beds there, and it would be easier for Liu Nian to move there than for him. However, just in case, Li Xiao still asked Zhao Fipeng to wait for 20 minutes after entering the attack position, leaving enough time for the fleeting time. As a scout, Zhao Fipeng was obviously very strict about time. The second hand on his wrist had just passed 20 minutes, and he immediately squatted down from the ground and clicked twice with his right index finger. Bang! Bang! The fire flashed twice in the dark night, and the bullet quickly penetrated into the head of a soldier. It is normal for a scout to shoot two heads at a distance of 50 meters in a sneak attack, so this soldier ended his life 2 seconds after the battle began. Despite the 40% damage reduction of the Kevlar helmet, the damage of more than 120 points of 2 bullets could not save his life. At the same time as Zhao Fipeng fired, Di Yun, Yu Ming and Zhang Lang also fired at the other 2 targets at the same time. 3 assault rifles suddenly opened fire, and the barrage of bullets directly knocked down the 2 people in just 4 or 5 seconds. The opponent's main firepower was nearly half lost, but it was not over yet. Although the remaining 2 infantrymen and the 2 players rushed to the store at the first time, the firepower of Liu Nian and his 3 people from the west still killed 1 person on the spot and seriously injured another. Go! Li Xiao shouted and ordered everyone to surround the electrical appliance store, including Liu Nian and his 3 people who followed their rhythm to block the west side. When Di Yun rushed forward, Zhao Fipeng had already detoured to the east side. At this time, the exits on the east, west and south sides of the electrical appliance store were already under their guns. Liu Nian, your 2 men should have grenades, right? Let's throw them in together. If we can't kill them, we can at least injure a few. After adding them as friends, Li Xiao could talk directly with Liu Nian. Both of them counted down and threw 3 grenades at the same time. The fragmentation grenade flew through the air 40 or 50 meters and exploded into hundreds of steel ball fragments at the door of the electrical appliance store. The counter of the electrical appliance store was shattered on the spot. The 2 engineers hiding behind died on the spot. Chapter 10 Questions about the passing years. The enemy lost 2 more people, and there were only 3 people and 2 players left. Li Xiao simply planned not to give the other side a chance to breathe, and directly ordered Di Yun to attack. But before he could say anything, a shout came from the electrical shop. Brother outside. Brother, I know I was wrong. I will never dare to come to Wufang town again. Please give me a chance to live. The person who spoke was estimated to be in his 30s, and his voice was trembling. It seemed that he was very scared. Li Xiao shouted coldly, now you are afraid of death? Why didn't you think of this when you started shooting before? Brother, we are also forced to do so. The nearby resource areas are either guarded by a large number of troops from the Black Hawk Empire or other players, or in groups. We finally met a lone person, but we didn't expect there would be a big man like you. Yes, yes, yes. In fact, we just want to collect some resources to upgrade. We didn't want to kill them all just now. The 2 players in the electrical shop were cowardly and soft, and didn't dare to say anything tough. Li Xiao hesitated whether to kill or let go. After all, it was 2 lives. You have to know that the 2 billion people who have traveled here are not only from Shenglong Republic, but also from foreign players, who account for at least 70% of the total. They kill 1 today and 1 tomorrow, and the foreign players will benefit from their internal consumption later. Oh, is that so? Li Xiao has not made up his mind yet, but Liu Nian spoke first. You didn't look like this when you were bullying the weak just now. I think it's a disaster to keep you. Liu Nian rushed in with 2 of his men, and Li Xiao had to order Di Yun to attack. Okay. If you don't let me live, I will take someone with me before I die. Seeing that Liu Nian actually launched a strong attack, the 2 players inside also began to fight back desperately. The bullets of both sides hit the ground in the dark night, and sparks flew on the wall. However, the opponent only had 3 pistols and 2 rifles left, and the firepower suppression was far less than that of Li Xiao. 20 meters away from the electrical appliance store, Di Yun directly broke through with his health several times higher than that of the enemy. Although he made a series of tactical moves and was shot 5 or 6 times, it was the only chance for Di Yun to face off with the enemy's infantry. The enemy soldier saw Di Yun rushing to his face and could no longer care about the gun line in the distance. He rushed out from behind the bunker and shot at Di Yun. 3 consecutive bullets hit Di Yun's chest and abdomen, but in return he only lost less than 200 HP. At the same time, Di Yun also raised his gun and fired, also 3 bullets, but killed the enemy on the spot. Seeing that the soldier who rushed in had survived so many gunshots, The two players looked ashen, but they still did not forget to pick up their pistols to fight back. But at this time, with Di Yun's interference, Zhao Feipeng and Liu Nian's two soldiers rushed in at the same time. Within 10 seconds, the gunshots were like firecrackers, and 10 seconds later, the electrical shock was quiet. Li Xiao was a little confused standing in front of the bodies of the two players. As a scout, Zhao Feipeng's close combat shooting skills were very accurate. Both players were shot in the head by a rifle. However, they were not wearing bulletproof helmets. And the damage of the rifle headshot was more than 100 points, and their base was not upgraded, and their own health was still the initial 100 points, so they were killed on the spot. Does this count as murder? At most it is self-defense. Liu Nian came over and said calmly, now everyone has traveled to this deadly world, and everyone's life is precarious. If you don't kill them, they will find ways to harm you. Li Xiao looked at Liu Nian's tough and calm face, without any guilt at all. As the bodies of the two slowly turned into dust and disappeared, Li Xiao sighed. Maybe Liu Nian was right, it's just survival of the fittest. The two players had about 200 bullets on them, and about 100 steel and fuel each, and only about 10 rare ores. It seems that they came to rob Wufang town for rare ores. Old Xiao, I can call you that. I have a question I don't know. I know what you want to ask. Li Xiao, who was cleaning the battlefield, heard this and seemed to have a countermeasure. You want to ask why my soldier didn't die after being shot more than 10 times, right? Li Xiao pointed at Di Yun. Liu Nian nodded. Just now he suddenly rushed in and really shocked me. 12 shots, 3 to the head, 5 to the chest and abdomen, 4 to the legs. Even with 500 horsepower he died. From Liu Nian's question, Li Xiao could guess that the other party should not know about the life pool, which further confirmed the speculation that the life pool on him might be an exception. Liu Nian, although the system calls this the game world of Nihil, we can't really play it with a game attitude, but should treat it as a real battlefield, so we can't be bound by the rules of the game. So, it means you can use your imagination more. Damn. I'm talking nonsense. Liu Nian has seen that Li Xiao is talking nonsense. Li Xiao shrugged. I can only tell you so much. After saying this, he thought to himself, am I telling you that I have a life pool setting that is highly suspected of being a bug? After sharing the 200 resources with Liu Nian, Li Xiao rushed back with Di Yun and Zhao Feipeng. He had to check the situation at the transfer station tonight. It was past midnight when they returned to the base. Li Xiao used the conscription order directly, and this time one infantryman and one machine gunner came out. The machine gunner should be a new type of soldier after the base is upgraded. In addition to the standard equipment, he uses the QBJ-25 squad light machine gun, which has 2 feeding methods, including a 75-round drum and a 150-round box. Because it uses 7.62mm machine gun bullets, a single shot can reach about 40 points of damage to the chest under standard armor, and 3 shots can kill a private. Of course, this is worse than a rifle, but machine guns have always relied on quantity to win, and the frontal suppression effect is very obvious. With 4 combat forces, Li Xiao is much bolder. They went straight to the transfer yard under the leadership of Zhao Feipeng. At 2 o'clock in the morning, Li Xiao and others came to the vicinity of the transfer yard. This site should be newly opened by the Black Hawk Empire. The trees and soil that were removed were piled up around it. A dirt road connected the highway, which was very hidden under the cover of the woods. If Zhao Feipeng hadn't searched in a straight line, it might not have been found. At this time, there were only a few searchlights monitoring several important locations in the transfer yard. And the rest of the place was dim, but from the imaging field of Zhao Feipeng's low-light night vision device, there were sentries everywhere in the transfer yard, and there were 2 patrol teams with about 15 people each. However, what attracted him most were the boxes of food and ammunition and the fuel stacks side by side in the cargo yard. Chapter 11 Night Attack on the Transfer Station. Tisk tisk, how many resources do these require? Li Xiao couldn't help but lick his lips. If he could get this batch of supplies, then the more than 1,000 resources he needed to upgrade his base to the 3rd level would not be a problem at all. Commander, are you planning to make a sneak attack here? This place is only more than 10 kilometers away from the front line of Zicheng. If the Imperial troops reinforce us and encircle us, the consequences will be disastrous. Zhao Feipeng looked a little nervous when he saw Li Xiao's eager expression. Don't worry, I'm not that arrogant yet. I only have more firepower than your class, so I won't be able to fight hard, but, Li Xiao pinched his chin, you can still do some damage, and you can collect some head fees by the way. What do you think, Commander? Li Xiao patted Zhao Fipeng on the shoulder. I asked you to stop calling me commander in the future. It's so awkward. What's that called? Call me boss. That's easy to say, Li Xiao said without thinking. It seems a bit irregular. Li Xiao turned around and said to Di Yun, go and ask Yang Zhao to go to Wufang Town and ask him to return to the base this afternoon. Tell him that I have a mission for him. Yes, Yang Zhao is a newly recruited army infantryman. Of course, tasks such as running errands must be done by newcomers. Hey, where can I get a radio? It's too much trouble to run errands and communicate like this. After a while, it was already dark, and Li Xiao led everyone back to the base. By chance, he encountered a wild deer on the road. Li Xiao, who had not eaten fresh meat for a long time, immediately asked Zhao Fipeng to knock it down. The wild deer was picked up and grilled directly on the fire. Since there was no salt, chili powder and other condiments, Li Xiao had to brush it with the soup from the canned beef. This could barely cover up the smell of venison, so the four of them ate a third of it on the spot, leaving the rest for Yuming and others who were still collecting resources in Wufang Town. While waiting for Yuming, Li Xiao took a look at the situation of the base. Upgrading the third-level base requires 500 points each of fuel and steel, and 100 points of rare ore. With his current resources plus Yuming and Zhang Lang's, it should be tomorrow. You can raise it all. To be honest, this speed is a bit slow. He saw on the national channel that some big guys united with many players to directly push for the Black Eagle Empire's stronghold, and the material resources came quite quickly. Although the spoils are equally shared and the death rate is high, the benefits are still huge. Turning off the information panel, Li Xiao's pressure increased sharply. In fact, this is just like the supporting characters in those cultivation novels. As long as you are not strong, the protagonist's experience points will be gained every minute. If he doesn't want to be used as experience points, he can only fight hard, even if he is the eternal villain. In the afternoon, Yiming, Zhang Lang and Yang Zhao, who went to inform, returned to the base. Li Xiao designed a sneak attack plan based on the situation at the transfer site. In order not to expose attack direction, this time we bypassed the transfer field and entered from the southwest. Li Xiao pointed at machine gunner Zhang Shuang and said, a team of Zhang Shuang and Di Yun are responsible for supporting Zhao Fipeng and Yuming's infiltration team. Zhang Lang and Yang Zhao are on standby with me and can retreat from the flank cover at any time. Does everyone understand? Clear, everyone responded in unison. As night fell, Li Xiao and his group of 7 people came to the location of today's investigation again. At this moment, the deployment situation in the transfer field was basically the same as that in the early morning. The only difference is that the patrol team has been increased to 3 groups, with nearly half of the troops patrolling inside and outside the transfer yard. This is a bit troublesome. The strength of the 3 patrol groups is half of the garrison at the transfer station. It seems that this company should be half of the organic rotation. The other 3 people should be resting in the barracks to the east. Proceed as planned. Even though they were here, Li Xiao didn't want to go in vain, so Zhao Fipeng took them to continue their detour to the southwest side behind the soil slope 150 meters away from the protective net of the transfer site. Zhao Fipeng once again took out the low-light night vision device. This time, Li Xiao unexpectedly saw that the garrison at the transfer station had set up hidden sentries on the east and north sides. The position where they were staying just now was only a few dozen meters away from the hidden sentry. They were discovered after taking a few steps forward to protect the area. Damn it, are these Imperial troops so well defended? Li Xiao couldn't help but feel cold behind his back. If he was discovered by a secret sentry, he would be chased by hundreds of people. Look! The lights are on. Zhao Fipeng, who had been monitoring the situation in the transfer yard, suddenly lowered his voice. Li Xiao looked up and found that several searchlights around the cargo yard of the transfer yard were all turned on, and it suddenly seemed like daylight in the transfer yard. There should be a transport convoy entering the scene, Zhao Fipeng guessed. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, the car lights flashed on the dirt road on the east side of the transfer yard, and a dozen military trucks drove over. The garrison opened the gate and let the entire convoy in. At this moment, the transfer field suddenly became lively. All the Imperial soldiers in the barracks ran out, and the personnel following the transportation team began to unload the goods from the vehicles. The goods on the truck were the same as the wooden boxes and oil drums that had been piled up in the cargo yard before. Some of them were labeled with food, and some were directly labeled with various types of ammunition. There were about 11 or 12 vehicles carrying these supplies, and the next 5 vehicles were all carrying fuel. Good guy, so fat, Li Xiao drooled when he saw it. If he didn't think about anything else, just those ammunition would probably allow Li Xiao to earn enough resources for the 4th level base. After 2 hours of unloading, the transport convoy formed and left. The lights in the transfer yard slowly went out, leaving only 3 or 4 searchlights. The patrol team also resumed inspections. It seems that it will be very difficult to get in, and we must find another way. After thinking carefully for a while, Li Xiao decided to cancel the original plan because he thought of a better idea. Let's go around to the East Road. The group came to the East Road. At this time, they could see car lights flashing on the road from time to time, and armored vehicles with satellite antennas passing by from time to time. This doesn't seem to be the road east of our base, but another one. Li Xiao could tell from the traffic volume that his road should be a secondary route, and the road in front of him was the main road. While talking, another wheeled infantry fighting vehicle passed by, and at this time, the rumbling of artillery could be vaguely heard in the distance. The battle in Yongchang seemed to be quite fierce. This is the strength of the system forces. Li Xiao was full of envy. Quickly reaching 1 kilometer ahead of the dirt road intersection of the transfer yard, Li Xiao then asked Zhao Fipeng to go out for reconnaissance, and then all the others went into hiding. About 2 hours later, at 1 o'clock in the morning, Zhao Fipeng rushed back, and another team of transport vehicles was coming. Li Xiao turned to Yiming and Zhang Lang and said, "You two quickly lay anti-riot spikes. Move quickly." Yes, 2 2-meter-long anti-riot spikes were laid in succession on the oncoming lane, and everyone evacuated the road. A few minutes later, 7 transport vehicles drove over, and as they were approaching the fork, the vehicles also began to slow down. Chapter 12 Huge Gains. Li Xiao became nervous as he watched the lead vehicle getting closer and closer to the anti-riot spikes. When the lead vehicle was only 60 or 70 meters away from the roadblock, the driver keenly discovered the anti-riot spikes and turned the steering wheel directly to the opposite lane. But the vehicles behind reacted half a beat slower, and 2 consecutive vehicles ran over the spikes directly. With 2 bangs, even the run-flat tires were pierced by the spikes. The vehicles behind saw the abnormality of the front vehicle and braked urgently, avoiding a chain rear-end collision. The entire convoy stopped, and the drivers and soldiers on the vehicle all got out of the car with guns and began to be alert. One of the officers with the rank of lieutenant checked the situation of the 2 vehicles that were hit. Although the run-flat tires were punctured, they could still continue to drive with the help of the high-strength tire body, so he gave the order to continue driving. After the transport convoy left, a shadow rushed out from the road. "How is it? Is it installed?" Li Xiao looked at Yiming, who was sweating profusely, and the latter nodded. Just as Zhao Fipeng expected, "The last 2 trucks are really fuel. I have arranged it." "Okay, now let's go back and see the excitement." When Li Xiao returned to the previous ambush point on the southwest side, the small convoy had already started unloading, and the searchlights of the transfer yard were all turned on again. Yiming kept staring at the 2 trucks unloading in the fuel area, until the driver dumped the last truck into the oil barrel pile and started unloading. He took out a black remote control from the toolbox. "Boss. Detonate." Li Xiao nodded, and Yiming pressed the button on the remote control without hesitation. Boom, a shocking explosion sounded, and a ball of fire suddenly appeared at the rear of the truck, followed by a huge shock wave spreading around, and then the entire fuel storage area exploded. A huge mushroom cloud rose into the sky, and hot fireballs splashed in all directions. At that moment, the entire transfer yard seemed as bright as day. The heat wave rushed towards Li Xiao and his team, and everyone felt that they could not breathe at this moment. The shock wave of the explosion dissipated, and the plastic oil barrels that were blown into the sky by the fuel explosion fell one after another, and one of them even fell in front of Li Xiao. "Oh my god. I'm going to make a fortune now." Li Xiao was stunned as he watched the life pool in the corner of his vision rise, and all this was caused by just a small piece of C4 explosives. 2 days ago, after Yiming killed the major and upgraded, he had an extra C4 explosive in his toolbox, but he never had the opportunity to use it. Tonight, when Li Xiao saw the transport vehicles entering the transfer yard, he came up with the idea of sticking the C4 explosives under the vehicle and bringing them in unexpectedly. It was successful with 1 shot, and the results were so exaggerated that they exploded. New explosions continued to occur in the transfer yard. Fuel ignited the wooden boxes in the ammunition area next to it, and countless bullets and shells exploded. The warheads flew in the field and the smoke filled the air. 79 people. 9,100 health points. Li Xiao counted the kill records refreshed by the system in the upper right corner of his vision. Among them, there were many first-class, second-class, and third-class soldiers, and there were also 2 or 3 corporals and privates. When the explosion occurred, the garrison was unloading, so the explosion directly destroyed 80% of them. It is estimated that the remaining ones will not be in a good situation. Now it's our turn to clean up the battlefield. Li Xiao estimated that reinforcements would arrive soon, so he had little time left. Considering that there were at least 30 people left in the transfer yard, Li Xiao distributed all the health points he had just obtained. Among them, Di Yun, the main combat force, directly added 3,100 points, so the health of this fierce man reached 4,700 points. He didn't know what rank this was. The other 2,000 points were given to Zhao Fipen. The scout's shooting skills still needed health to ensure. Then Yiming, Yang Zhao, Zhang Lang, and Zhang Shuang each added 1,000 points. Because he killed 79 enemies at once, including some of them of low-ranking military ranks, Yiming was promoted again and became a corporal. The corporal added 100 health points on the basis of the private, so now Yiming's total health value has reached 1,700 points, and Zhang Lang also has 1,300 points. After adding blood, Li Xiao secretly said, "Wow, his soldiers are now all at the level of majors. As long as the combat level keeps up, they will be basically invincible in encounters with ordinary players. Di Yun, Zhao Fipen, Zhang Shuang, you go. The rest of you protect the left and right flanks." Although he has never really fought a war, he has watched a lot of movies and knows a little bit about how to search and attack on the battlefield. Di Yun found a section of barbed wire that was blown up and jumped in first. Before he could stand firmly, a shadow suddenly jumped out of the darkness and fired at Di Yun's head, hitting his head with 4 or 5 consecutive bullets. Zhao Fipen, who followed behind, was quick-witted and shot the infantryman with a single volley of bullets. As soon as the firing started, the remaining imperial troops scattered around the transfer yard were immediately attracted. Di Yun ran straight to the ammunition area without fear. Li Xiao's order was to get the ammunition as soon as possible. After passing through a messy fuel storage area, they were attacked by more than a dozen imperial soldiers. Di Yun rushed forward and killed them at close range under the barrage of bullets. Zhao Fipen, who was behind, took advantage of the enemy's defense being disrupted by Di Yun to call out names one by one. At this time, Zhang Shuang's squad machine gun also opened fire, specifically targeting those who shot at Di Yun from behind. Yang Zhao, Yiming and the other 3 who followed behind kept firing left and right, suppressing the soldiers who tried to attack Zhao Fipeng and others from the side. Faced with Di Yun, who was still alive and kicking after being shot 30 or 40 times, the imperial soldiers were all horrified and retreated one after another. Di Yun became more and more courageous as he killed more and more people. After he used up more than 200 bullets, he directly pulled out his pistol to exchange blood with the enemy with his desperate close combat style. Di Yun did not need any shooting skills at all to kill nearly a squad of people and successfully captured the ammunition area. However, Di Yun's health was only about 1,000 points. If it were not for Zhang Shuang's assistance, his health would not be enough to fight a reinforced squad head-on. Seeing that the ammunition area and the food area behind were captured, more than 20 imperial soldiers who retreated from the surrounding area simply launched a fearless charge, trying to capture Li Xiao's troops in one wave. But facing the perverts who used cover and whose health was more than 10 times theirs, these imperial soldiers could only fall on the way of the charge with hatred. When the gunfire at the transfer yard stopped completely, the 6 people's health was not much left. At this time, Li Xiao ran in openly from the gate. As a commander, you rely on your brain. The overall situation is important, and you should leave the desperate things to your subordinates. Boss. All enemies have been cleared, please give instructions. Li Xiao thought about it, and asked Yiming and others to collect all the guns on the ground and the star coins of the fallen soldiers, and he went directly to the ammunition area. Although the explosion just now caused a large number of ammunition to explode, a considerable part of them still survived. Chapter 13, Level 2 Promotion. He casually opened a box, and saw trays of 7.62mm bullets packed in green lacquered iron boxes, each tray containing 100 rounds. Fuck. I'm rich, I'm rich. Li Xiao quickly swept boxes of bullets into his backpack with a wave of his hand. He now understood why there was no upper limit for a backpack with 100 slots. The emotional reason was here. In more than 10 minutes, Li Xiao swept through hundreds of boxes of ammunition in the cargo yard, and harvested a total of 120,000 rifle bullets, 20,000 pistol bullets, and 2,000 fragmentation grenades. Then he swept the food area, and the harvest in the food area was far beyond Li Xiao's expectations. Rice, cooking oil, canned food, flour, vacuum-packed chicken, and even fresh fruits and vegetables. After sorting, there were 500 bags of rice weighing 50 kilograms, 50 boxes of cooking oil, 1,000 canned food, and 1,000 bags of 50 kilograms of flour. I can't stand it anymore, run away. Having taken such a big advantage, Li Xiao felt that the Black Hawk Empire would retaliate at any time, so it was important to run away quickly. Yi Ming and his team also found more than 70 rifles, more than a dozen pistols, a total of about 1,000 rounds of bullets, and more than 30 grenades. Of course, there are more than 200 star coins, which is what Li Xiao values most. Since the barracks have been built, star coins have been needed, and the demand will definitely be greater in the future. After sweeping away all the supplies, everyone excitedly rushed back to the base overnight. In order to prevent the Black Hawk Empire from tracking their whereabouts, Li Xiao also arranged Zhao Fipeng and Yang Zhao to guard the west and south of the base. After letting everyone finish their midnight snack, Li Xiao hid alone on the second floor of the headquarters and began to sell stolen goods. First of all, ammunition. He himself does not even have the strength of a squad now, so he only kept 10,000 rifle bullets, and the remaining 110,000 rounds were all put on the shelves. Now that players are fighting more and more frequently, ammunition is consumed very quickly, and the trading center can't see any ammunition on the shelves at all. According to the previous transaction prices, 1 point of steel or fuel can be exchanged for 5 rifle bullets, and ore can be exchanged for 10 rounds. He planned to exchange 40,000 rifle bullets for 8,000 points of steel and fuel respectively, and the remaining 30,000 for 3,000 points of rare ore. Pistol bullets were a little cheaper. 20,000 rounds could be exchanged for 2,000 points of steel and fuel. Then there were grenades. He kept 500 for himself and sold the rest. He directly specified that grenades should be purchased with star coins. After all, it was the largest range-killing weapon he had come into contact with so far, and 5 star coins per grenades were not excessive at all. As for food, Li Xiao did not intend to sell any of it. With more and more troops in the future, his logistics pressure would be extremely large. He would have to stock up from now on so that he could live a relaxed life in the future. The scarcity of bullets was indeed beyond imagination. A total of 130,000 rounds of ammunition were sold out within 5 minutes of being put on the shelves. And the grenades were sold out faster than the ammunition. It seemed that the players were really in need of offensive weapons. Looking at the tens of thousands of points of steel, fuel and rare ore in the base information, Li Xiao was already grinning from ear to ear. If the life pool had not increased the soldier's health, even if he successfully used C4 to blow up the fuel storage area, he would not be able to defeat the remaining Imperial troops in the transfer yard. What are you waiting for? Upgrade. Li Xiao pointed his finger, and the system deducted 500 points of steel and fuel, and 200 points of rare ore, and the base entered the upgrade state for the second time. This time the upgrade process was obviously much slower, and the entire base changed an hour later. The second upgrade expanded the concrete pouring area of the base to 1,000 square meters. His headquarters was painted with camouflage exterior paint for the first time, and it finally looked not so simple and simple. And an extra large pot cover, which is the antenna receiver, was accidentally added to the roof. Li Xiao hurriedly checked the upgraded base information. This time the headquarters had a durability similar to that of the vehicle. The health of the third-level base headquarters was as much as 10,000 points, and it seemed that it could withstand a lot of attacks. In addition, the daily subscription order was increased from 2 to 3, which was good news for some people, but bad news for some people. Of course, Li Xiao, who had no worries about food and drink, now needed troops the most. A new restaurant building was added to the level 3 base, which is a functional building that solved Li Xiao's big problem. As long as a cook is stationed in the restaurant and all the food on hand is handed over to him, Li Xiao will no longer have to worry about distributing food. This cook can even make a variety of cooked food according to the ingredients. Of course, the restaurant's supply capacity is still limited, and more cooks will be needed after the upgrade. Building a restaurant consumes 50 points of steel and fuel, 30 points of rare ore, and 40 points of star coins. The cost is so affordable that Li Xiao built one next to the barracks without hesitation while the restaurant was being built. Li Xiao used 3 subscription orders. As expected, one of the 3 recruits was a cook with a chef qualification certificate, the other 2 are infantry, and the other is a new soldier, a communications soldier. The communications soldier carries a single soldier satellite communication terminal and a radio transceiver, which can achieve all-weather communication with the base, and can also conduct real-time video communication after the rank upgrade. Great! With a signalman, we don't have to run errands anymore. The signalman is also equipped with rifles, pistols and other tactical equipment, but due to the heavy load, the mobility is relatively weak, and the combat capability is inferior to that of the infantry. Considering the importance of the signalman, Li Xiao allocated 400 health points in the life pool to this relative named Li Li, and the other 2,000 health points in the life pool were reserved for future use. An hour later, the restaurant was completed. This restaurant has 5 storage grids. Li Xiao put all the rice, canned food, flour and field rations in his backpack into it. Du Zidan, our meals will be handed over to you in the future. Li Xiao patted the cook's shoulder and said with a heavy responsibility. Report to the boss. Don't worry, I will definitely make sure all my comrades are well fed. Li Xiao nodded with satisfaction. And then opened the information panel to upgrade the base again. The resources required for the upgrade of the 4th level base have quadrupled this time. Not only does it take 2,000 points for steel and fuel, but also 1,000 points for rare ore, and 200 star coins. Li Xiao secretly rejoiced that the grenades were sold in star coins. If they were resources, he would have to sell food to save star coins. The upgrade of the 4th level base lasted for 5 hours and was not completed until the afternoon. The newly expanded 2,000 square meters of open space has only 3 houses on it, which looks empty overall, so Li Xiao built a barracks. Now his troops have reached a squad. If he doesn't build another one today, the new recruits will have no place to live tomorrow. Opening the level 4 base information again, Li Xiao finally saw a building that made him extremely excited. Military Factory, a special military building that manufactures tactical equipment and vehicles for the troops' building area. 400 square meters building conditions. 1,000 steel, 1,000 fuel, 2,000 rare ore. Building time limit. 24H. Chapter 14 Ambush at the steel plant. Seeing the tactical equipment and vehicles, Li Xiao knew that it would be more beneficial for him to build this military factory as soon as possible. There happened to be a little more than 2,000 rare ores, so he clicked on it without hesitation. I don't know what this tactical equipment and vehicle are, but I'm looking forward to it. Li Xiao's biggest headache before was communication and commanding and running away. He didn't do anything for a day and was always on the road. Yiming and the others were particularly wasteful in collecting resources. It would be great to have an off-road vehicle or even an armored vehicle. In the evening, Yang Zhao, who was on guard at the perimeter, returned to the base, and Zhao Fipeng also returned later. How? What's going on? Li Xiao handed Zhao Fipeng a bottle of water on the first floor of the headquarters. Report to the boss. The transfer site has been cleaned and rebuilt by the Black Hawk Empire overnight. They searched up and down the road. A patrol unit checked 2 kilometers in the direction of our base and then did not move forward. What's the current troop strength at the transfer station? After eating meat once, Li Xiao simply couldn't get enough of it and wished he could try it again. They directly transferred a reinforced battalion with a total of about 400 people to garrison, and added 4 new guard towers equipped with snipers, as well as an infantry fighting vehicle and 3 heavy machine gun posts. I'll go. It's too much. When Li Xiao heard the troop allocation reported by Zhao Fipeng, his jaw almost dropped. He felt that he had gotten a big deal. If nothing else, just the 3 heavy machine gun posts could chop Li Xiao into pieces. I can't afford to offend you, I just slipped away. Sure enough, in another world, even if all NPCs are replaced by real people, the system forces still cannot afford to offend them. After considering the current situation in the surrounding area, there is no way to expand southward. The Black Eagle Empire is fighting in Zichen, and if you are not careful, you may encounter the main force going north as good. Wufang Town is on the branch line of the transportation network. I wonder if there will be better resources if we continue going north. Li Xiao was thinking about the next step in his development, when Liu Nian came to him. Lao Xiao, let me tell you some good news. I found a steel factory here with a daily output of 500 points of steel. How about it? Are you interested in considering it? 500 points of daily output, Although Li Xiao still holds nearly 5,000 points of resources, the level 5 base upgrade has reached 6,000 points per item. The consumption in the future will be even greater. Who would think that there are too many resources? There are defenders. How many are there? Li Xiao asked directly. If there were no defenders, it would be impossible for Liu Nian to be so generous as to share the money with him. In fact, there are not many defenders, just 2 squads, but the trouble is that the opponent has deployed heavy machine gun fortresses at key positions. With fewer people, there is no chance to break through the defense. 2 classes? Li Xiao thought about it and figured out that with his combat power and 2 squads of less than 20 people, it should be no problem to fight head-on. However, he was on the defensive side and had heavy machine gun firepower, so he had to study a good combat plan. Okay. I'll come over and take a look that night. At dinner time, Du Zidong announced that his first meal since taking office was officially served as soon as Li Xiao entered the spacious and bright restaurant. He was stunned when he saw a row of large stainless steel basins. Everyone who came in later had tears streaming down their faces. Diyun, scallion oil noodles, zhao fi peng, venison pancakes, yiming, canned beef and roasted potatoes, zhang shuang, egg fried rice. Oh my god, is it Chinese New Year? Everyone couldn't help but cheer. This is the day when there are cooks, and the days of eating field rations are finally over. Li Xiao couldn't help but said to Du Zidong, "Brother Teng is awesome." Du Zidong was a little embarrassed by everyone's praise, and said awkwardly, "Conditions and ingredient restrictions, let's just settle for the first meal in the base restaurant." Everyone starts eating. The restaurant brought its own plates and cutlery, and everyone took the plates and began serving dishes in an orderly manner. Although Du Zidong cooked a wide variety of food, he controlled the quantity very well, and the meals for 10 people would not waste too much. Eating sesame seed cakes filled with venison, Li Xiao began to think about his actions at night. While eating, he suddenly thought of an idea. After the meal, Li Xiao arranged for Zhang Lang, Yang Zhao and cook Du Zidong to stay at the base and wait for his orders at any time. The rest were fully armed, carrying sufficient ammunition and 2 meals of field rations, and set off immediately. 3 hours later, they met up with Liu Nian's troops in Wufang town. "Hey, your troops are wrong, right? Why are there 2 people missing?" Liu Nian knew that Li Xiao had not lost any troops during the 4 days of traveling. Logically, there should be 8 men, but there were only 6 men behind Li Xiao. There should always be some people left to guard the base. What if some blind cat bumps into a dead mouse and discovers my base? Wouldn't it be cool? You are quite cautious, but I came here with full force. Anyway, my base is very remote and there is no one around, so don't worry about it for now. Li Xiao nodded and said, "It's better to be careful in everything. It's getting late. Please lead the way." "No problem." Liu Nian waved, and his men turned and walked onto the road. According to Liu Nian's description, this steel plant is small in scale, covering an overall area of about 10,000 square meters, and has 2 gates in the east and west. The east gate is the main entrance, with a machine gun post at the door, while the west gate is the ore transportation channel, and the ore mined from the back mountain is smelted directly on site. In addition to the imperial troops, there are hundreds of mechanics at the site. Those mechanics are in a neutral state and are originally the people of the Xianai Republic, so they will not affect their actions. But now the problem is that the gate originally used to transport ore is closed because the Imperial Army has limited manpower and cannot take care of both. All vehicles enter from the main gate. Is there no way to sneak in from the back? No, there are snipers on guard on the central tower, and there are searchlights for full surveillance at night. The factory wall is powered on. Along the way, Li Xiao asked in detail about the situation of the steel plant. The information he got was far more complicated than he imagined. He began to doubt whether it was worth risking a battle for half of the 250 points of steel production. At 3 o'clock in the morning, the group finally arrived at the steel plant. After walking 15 kilometers, everyone lay on the stone pestle on the east side and began to observe the situation of the gate with the help of half-human high wormwood. Zhao Fipeng quickly confirmed the situation of the steel plant with the help of a low-light night vision device. 4 machine gun sentries, 1 central tower observer and 1 sniper, 1 5-man patrol team, and the rest cannot be observed for the time being. Li Xiao thought for a while and said to Liu Nian, "Brother, this battle is not easy to fight. The sniper on the steel plant's observation tower can effectively observe the situation near the gate. Do you have any ideas?" Liu Nian shrugged. "If I had an idea, I might have been waiting to collect resources now. Then it seems that we can only attack by force." Li Xiao rubbed his hands. "Attack by force? Lao Xiao, the opponent is a 12.7 mm heavy machine gun, and one shot will cause more than 100 damage. Li Xiao curled his lips. I have my own way. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15, Hanging Someone for the First Time. He turned and looked at Zhao Feipeng. Feipeng, we will launch a feint attack from the front later to attract the firepower of the ground and snipers. You and Yiming will take the opportunity to approach the wall from the southwest and quickly use C4 explosives to blast it. Understood? After Li Xiao gave the order, Li Unian was surprised and said, C4? Where did it come from? Engineering soldiers can get one for free when they are promoted to corporal. Corporal. Did you get promoted so quickly? My engineers only got promoted to corporal by collecting resources. The gap is too big. Li Xiao thought to himself that the gap is not that big. I have fought 3 battles, and you have only fought a few people, but are you sure that one C4 can blow through this 1 meter thick concrete wall? If 1 is not enough, use 10, at least 100 will do. Hearing Li Xiao's words, Li Unian had nothing to say. After Zhao Feipeng received the order, he and Yiming went back to the southwest side. During this time, Li Xiao and Li Unian also arranged to occupy safe bunkers and prepare to open fire. Estimating that the time was almost up, Li Xiao pointed to the machine gun position opposite and said to Zhang Shuang, do you see that machine gun? Don't worry about anyone later, just shoot that machine gun position. I have prepared 2,000 rounds of bullets for you, so you can make as many as you want. Understood. Boss. Zhang Shuang replaced his squad machine gun with a 150-round ammunition box, pulled the bolt, and stared at the front with full concentration. After everyone entered the shooting position, Li Xiao picked up his rifle and fired a burst at the sniper on the high tower. Ding ding dang dang. All the bullets hit the iron frame of the high tower, and it was like a signal gun announcing the start of the barrage show. 10 soldiers on Li Xiao's side fired at the same time, and the barrage formed instantly covered the entire steel plant gate. Zhang Shuang's light machine gun roared wildly, and dense bullets kept hitting the sandbags of the heavy machine gun position. At the same time, the heavy machine guns at the gate also turned their muzzles and began to fire at the gravel slope. The 12.7 mm machine gun bullets hit the sand and stones, splashing smoke and dust. The orange-red tracer bullets flew over a distance of 200 meters in an instant, pressing Li Xiao and his men down so hard that they could not raise their heads. In desperation, Li Xiao simply ordered everyone to raise their guns above their heads and shoot blindly at the gate. Seeing this, Li Unian followed suit anyway. It was to attract firepower, and it was not required to hit anyone, but even so, they were still blocked by the snipers at a high point. Zhang Shuang, who had the strongest firepower, was shot twice in a row, and 300 points of blood were gone. And this was not over yet. Seeing that Li Xiao and others were hiding, the Imperial troops actually brought out rocket launchers and fired rockets at them continuously. Fortunately, they were on the reverse slope, and the shrapnel of the rockets was not easy to hit them. After 4 or 5 rounds, only 2 or 3 soldiers were hit by shrapnel and lost a few hundred points of blood. The two sides fired back and forth for more than 10 minutes. Li Xiao finally saw the light signal from Yiming. He signaled Zhang Lang to reply and let Yiming start the blasting immediately at the same time. They began to retreat and move to the southwest. Under the southwest wall, Yiming took C4 explosives from Zhao Feipeng and arranged them in a certain order close to the wall. When 100 pieces of explosives were pasted, Yiming signaled Zhao Feipeng to evacuate first, and then he inserted all the C4 explosives into the detonator and then gathered them in the detonator. After Yiming retreated to a safe distance, Li Xiao and his team also arrived. Is it done? You can detonate at any time. Yiming shook the remote control in his hand. Li Xiao nodded and said, okay, detonate immediately. Boom. With a violent explosion, the seemingly solid concrete wall cracked in a splash of flint, a ball of fire soared into the air, and there was a gap left for one person to pass. Beautiful. Brothers, go, Li Xiao roared, and the soldiers raised their guns and rushed towards the wall in battle formation. Li Unian obviously didn't want to look like a bystander, so he led the troops to the front. The Black Hawk Empire troops at the steel plant heard the explosion and all surrounded the gap. A fierce battle broke out between the two sides in the gap of the wall. Everyone throw all the grenades. Before leaving, Li Xiao stuffed 5 extra grenades into each soldier's backpack, fearing that the Empire troops would use the strong fortifications to block them. Now these Empire soldiers really used the dense pipes and conveyor belts in the wall to fire at the gap. They were blocked in the corner and it was difficult to get out soon. Dozens of grenades were thrown at the feet of the Empire troops. Although the continuous explosions did not cause much casualties to the enemy, they effectively hindered their gun line blockade. Zhang Shuang and Di Yun broke through first, and took advantage of their blood volume to kill 3 Empire soldiers in a row. Liu Nian's troops followed closely to provide fire suppression and continue to provide protection for the 2 flanks. But at this moment, the sniper on the tower shot again, killing one of Liu Nian's infantrymen and a new recruit whose name Li Xiao just spawned with 2 consecutive shots. Damn! Zhang Shuang, suppress the tower. Li Xiao looked at the fallen recruit. This young man had only been with him for 1 day, and he didn't even have time to check his name, but he was gone. Feeling the boss's anger, Zhang Shuang raised his gun and fired back at the tower platform. In this dark situation, it was difficult to kill the sniper, and he could only use fire suppression to block the opponent's shooting. Li Xiao glanced at the soldier's body and blamed himself. He still had more than 2,000 horsepower in his blood pool. If he had remembered to add 500 HP, he would not have died. Thinking of this, he quickly added 1,000 horsepower to the signalman Li Li behind him. Every soldier was a key force in the early stage. Liu Nian's face was not very good. He had already lost 2 soldiers in the early stage, and now he lost another one. The impact was still quite large. Zhang Shuang's fire suppression effect was still significant. The sniper dared not show his head to snipe. Di Yun fired all the way and rushed to the vicinity of the east gate in just 2 minutes. The heavy machine gun team and patrol team that had not moved opened fire. Di Yun was accidentally hit by 2 heavy machine gun bullets, which directly cut off 600 HP. However, Li Xiao quickly thought of a way. Liu Nian, tell your troops to throw smoke bombs into the passage. We are about to launch an attack. Okay, no problem. Liu Nian fired continuously at the tower to help Zhang Shuang suppress the sniper. When he heard Li Xiao's shout, he turned around and said to his troops, "Everyone, prepare the smoke bombs." Smoke bombs are standard equipment for all arms that have appeared so far. The current situation where the offensive passage is blocked by heavy machine guns is the right time to use smoke bombs soon. Several smoke bombs were thrown in near the east gate, and clouds of smoke rose under the searchlight. When the smoke formed a curtain wall that completely blocked the firing range of the heavy machine gun sentry, Zhao Fipeng was the first to rush out. Chapter 16 Team Xianqiao. Of course the enemy also knew what Li Xiao was thinking and fired wildly into the smoke. It's a pity that although the bullets are quite dense, Zhao Fipeng, who is a scout, is obviously very experienced. He lay on the ground to avoid a large number of bullets, then took out an ancestral shock bomb that was born with him from his waist. The heavy machine gun sentry dropped. Bang! There was a muffled sound, like a flash of thunder and lightning in the dark night, and the heavy machine gun whistle went silent for an instant, followed by Zhao Fipeng throwing the last grenade on his body. Boom! Only the patrol's gun line remained in the explosion. Upon seeing this, Li Xiao immediately ordered everyone to charge. Di Yun took the lead and rushed out. Although he only had about 4,000 health left, it was enough. The one who rushed out before Di Yun was Zhao Fipeng. At a glance, he saw that the Imperial soldier who had been knocked down by shock bombs and grenades was holding up the crane gun and wanted to continue firing. Core death, Zhao Fipeng reacted quickly, raised his gun and fired, killing the machine gunner on the spot. However, he was then shot continuously by the tower snipers, 1 shot on the chest and 1 in the head. Fortunately, he had not been hurt before, and the 2 shots only caused him 300 points of damage. Then Di Yun and others and Liu Nian's troops also came out of the smoke. They had a numerical and health advantage in the head-on confrontation with the 5-man patrol, and they wiped out their opponents in 20 or 30 seconds. The battle has been fought so far, and most of the defenders have been killed, and Li Xiao's mood has relaxed a lot. But just when he was about to let Zhang Shuang operate the heavy machine gun to give the tower snipers a wave of metal, a grenade suddenly exploded in their crowd. The grenade landed at the feet of a soldier in Liu Nian, and the soldier was knocked upside down by the blast. Zhang Shuang, who had just walked out, was also blown to pieces with only a little bit of blood left. A player is attacking. After being attacked, Liu Nian immediately led his troops to find the bunker again and warned Li Xiao. Seeing this, Li Xiao immediately gave Zhang Shuang the 1,100 health points gained from the kill plus the remaining 1,000 points, directly increasing the machine gunner's health by 2,000 points. Go up. Zhang Shuang controls the heavy machine gun. Don't let anyone break through. Yes, the one who attacked us is a guy named Luo Feng. Li Unian looked at the kill prompt that was about to disappear from his field of vision. At this moment, he was a little angry. One person had already been killed, and now another person was killed by a surprise attack. It was really uncomfortable. Li Xiao didn't say anything. They had just taken down the east gate, and there was no one left in the north and south. The only remaining Imperial troops were the two from the west and the tower, and the incoming players are definitely lurking outside the east gate wall. At this time, their situation is equivalent to being double-teamed by both sides. It's a pity that there are no grenades, otherwise we can force them out of the door. Zhang Shuang, please leave the door alone and knock down the sniper first. Clear. Zhang Shuang turned his gun around and fired randomly at the tower platform. The high platform seems to have been added later, using thin steel plates and wooden frames. Ordinary rifles may be useless, but large-caliber machine gun bullets from heavy machine guns can penetrate those protective steel plates in minutes. So in less than half a minute, the guard plate of the high tower platform turned into a hornet's nest. The sniper had almost no way to escape and could only lie down on the spot with his head in his hands. Without the high-point guns, the Imperial troops on the west side did not dare to attack, and retreated directly into the steel-making factory. After reducing the pressure on one side, Li Xiao turned around and shouted loudly to the door, "Brothers outside the door, if you have the ability, come out and show yourself." As soon as he finished speaking, everyone heard the roar of an engine at the gate, followed by a few lights illuminating the gate, and 3 off-road vehicles and a van parked outside. One after another 20 or 30 people were quickly picked up from these vehicles. They each used the vehicle as a cover, and all aimed their guns at Zhang Shuang's heavy machine gun position. Then a young man with short hair and dragon and tiger tattoos on his arms came out with his arms around a girl with a ponytail. Behind these two people were 2 more people, all of whom were dressed in hip-hop style and had a full atmosphere of delinquent youth. The short-haired man held a cigarette in his mouth, and held the girl with ponytail in his other hand. After a long while, the man said angrily, "Children inside, please obey my uncle and leave. Otherwise, don't blame our Cheyenne Chao team for bullying the children." Cheyenne Chao team. Li Xiao and Liunian looked at each other with unhappy expressions. The team is the initial organization of the players. A third-level base can be established at a cost of 500 star coins. Before, Li Xiao was busy fighting after being promoted to the 3rd level and did not pay much attention to the base information. To form a team, you must recruit at least 3 people, and the organizer's base level must reach level 3. Plus 500 star coins. It seems that the opponent is not weak. Li Unian frowned and said to himself. Li Xiao said in a deep voice, "It seems that the other party formed a team to fight from the beginning. Otherwise, it would be difficult to obtain 500 star coins and these vehicles in a short time. However, they have obviously also reduced their numbers. Calculating 4 people, they should be 30. The strength of the army is only 2, but there are only 23. It's also possible to stay at the base. But that's not the point. What should we do now?" The 2 of them finally managed to capture the steel plant at the cost of 3 people being killed. Now that the Cheyenne Chao team appeared out of thin air to interfere, it was really more uncomfortable than eating fly shit. They have enough ammunition and are in good physical condition. However, we have consumed most of our ammunition and lack of throwing items. Our troops cannot keep up with the physical strength. We will definitely not be able to fight hard. You mean to withdraw? Li Unian said unwillingly. "I finally defeated them with great difficulty, and I can't bear to give them to them like this. Besides, once we withdraw, we will suffer a loss if we try to defeat them again. That's a heavy machine gun, although it's fixed and there aren't many bullets left, it's still enough for us to drink a pot." Li Xiao patted Li Nian on the shoulder and said, "The so-called Green Hills can be saved without having to worry about running out of firewood. Since they can make a sneak attack, why can't we? As for the heavy machine gun, it's not easy. AC-4 can blow it up, although blowing up the heavy machine gun will mean that they will have no heavy weapons to use for defense in the future. There is no other way. What's more, there are Imperial troops number 89 hiding inside. Wait for them to clean up, and then we can fight back." Li Xiaoyan said with a smile after thinking about it for a while. It seemed that this was a good idea. "Okay, I'll listen to you first." After deciding to evacuate, Li Xiao asked Yiming to throw a C4 to Zhang Shuang to install under the heavy machine gun, and then everyone exited the steel plant through the gap in the wall. Chapter 17, Fighting the Steel Plant Again. Seeing Zhang Shuang withdraw from the heavy machine gun position, the ponytail girl said to the man beside her in a charming voice, "Brother Feng is really amazing. He just said a few words and scared these cannon fodders to run away with their tails between their legs." "Humph," Luo Feng said indifferently, "they are just cowards who are afraid of death. Let's go in and clean up the remaining Black Eagle minions inside first." After that, all the people of the Xian Chao team returned to the car and rushed into the factory building with a big foot. Soon after, the sound of rockets exploding one after another was heard. When a rocket flew to the high tower platform, the entire steel plant fell silent. Li Xiao and Liunian, who were hiding not far away, saw the situation in the steel plant and couldn't help but secretly rejoice. This Xian Chao team actually had a rocket launcher in their hands. No wonder they dared to be so arrogant if they had chosen to fight hard just now. It is estimated that his people would not be able to win even if their blood volume doubled. What should we do now? We can't kill them, but with their limited military strength, they can't stay here forever. Besides, 500 points of steel output is not much if divided equally among 4 people. They will definitely not waste time here. Li Xiao turned to Zhao Fipeng and Li Li and said, "You two continue to monitor here. If the other side has any situation, contact the base immediately." Zhao Fipeng raised his hand and saluted. "Report to the boss. Make sure to complete the mission, take out all the field rations on you and share them with the 2 of them." After that, Li Xiao said to Liunian, "We will withdraw temporarily. I will notify you if there is any situation." "Yeah," Liunian nodded helplessly. Not only did he lose 2 people after fighting all night, but he also didn't get the resource area. It was very depressing after returning to the base. Li Xiao lay in the command center and fell asleep. He has been worried and didn't sleep well these days, especially last night when he lost a soldier for the first time. His body finally couldn't hold on. When Li Xiao woke up again, Du Zidane brought noodles and attracted him with the aroma. He looked at the time and it was already 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He finished the noodles in a few bites and ran out immediately. At this time, the military factory had been completed, and a steel structure factory covering an area of 400 square meters appeared out of thin air behind the headquarters. After opening the information panel of the military factory, Li Xiao immediately found 2 menus, equipment and vehicles. He first clicked on the equipment item, which only had an icon that looked like a mobile device. Individual communication system. Li Xiao was a little disappointed. This was a communication device used for third-level communication. Its main function was to facilitate the accurate command and deployment of individual soldiers by the second-level command system. In other words, if he appointed Bi Yun or Zhao Fipeng as squad leader or platoon leader, they would be equipped with communication soldiers who could contact the headquarters, and they could use this individual communication system to contact individual soldiers in the squad and platoon. However, this does not support satellite communication, but only supports radio stations and base station networking. It cannot be used beyond a certain distance or in places with weak signals. Of course, this communication system is more convenient for command, but what Li Xiao wants most now is a stronger means of attack. He then opened the vehicle item, and a 4-wheeled off-road motorcycle model appeared in front of him. Ah! This is it. Li Xiao was secretly happy. What he lacked most now was vehicles, especially when he saw that the Xian Chao team had grabbed 4 vehicles, which made him jealous. This 4-wheel off-road motorcycle system is called ATV all-terrain motorcycle, which uses 4-wheel drive and a 2-cylinder motorcycle engine. It can carry 2 people, with a maximum speed of 70 km per hour, a durability of 1,500, a range of 150 km, and a fuel consumption of 10 fuel points per 100 km. It can be driven in more rugged jungles, sandy land and even swamps, and its functions are relatively comprehensive. But the cost is not cheap: 100 steel points, 50 fuel points, 50 rare ore points, 20 star coins, and it takes 12 hours to manufacture. No problem, it must be made. Li Xiao is not in a hurry to upgrade now. It is completely fine to take out some resources to get the vehicle first. He directly ordered 10 all-terrain vehicles and 20 sets of individual communication equipment. That thing only requires 20 rare ore points and 10 star coins, and it takes only 2 hours to manufacture. Equipment and vehicles are produced on 2 production lines at the same time, which saves Li Xiao a lot of trouble. After dealing with a military factory, he used the 3 subscription orders today directly, adding 2 infantrymen and 1 scout. Well, it depends on Zhao Fipeng next. The battle last night made Li Xiao realize that if he did not have absolute strength to crush, he would be very vulnerable in front of any group, so he also planned to build a team in his heart. He had star coins, and he had used less than 1,000 of the more than 7,000 star coins earned from selling grenades. The trouble is the problem of team members. At present, Li Unian seems to be good, but there are only 2 people including him. It seems that more people will be brought in the future. Thinking about it, Li Xiao fell asleep again. This time, Li contacted him in the middle of the night. Zhao Fipeng reported that the Xianchao team had evacuated, leaving only 4 engineers to enter the steel plant to divide resources. This way, the steel mill would be easy to fight, but the Xianchao team would come sooner or later. His troops were increasing, and so were the troops of the Xianchao team. The longer he delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. After all, the other side had 4 people. Then we have to get down to business. Li Xiao propped up his chin and made up his mind. After dawn, Li Xiao notified Li Unian to gather in Wufang town. After he used up the 3 subscription orders that had been refreshed, he set out again with the 11-man army, excluding Du Zidong and Zhang Lang, who stayed behind on a daily basis. This time he brought 100 fragmentation grenades, several C4 explosives, and 2 bases of ammunition for each person to ensure that they would not run out of ammunition and food on the battle with the Xianchao team. In the afternoon, he arrived at the steel plant with Li Unian's 8 soldiers. The battle was fierce the night before, and he didn't notice that this steel plant had another name. Called Banshan Steel Plant. Li Unian, you are responsible for dealing with the 4 in the factory, and I am responsible for the ambush halfway. How about it? No problem, Li Unian said without hesitation. If 8 people can't beat 4 logistics professionals, then he may not be able to survive in this alien world. Okay. Let's go. He had arranged in advance for Zhao Fipeng to scout the route that the Xianchao team took the night before. If nothing unexpected happened, they would definitely come back the same way when they attacked. In this way, they only need to set up an ambush at the right location to win. There is a gravel road at the Banshan steel plant that is specially built for transporting semi-finished steel products. This route connects the highway to the north and Wufang town. It is 10 kilometers long and is lined with trees along the way. Boss, I think we should choose this narrow bend. This way, the enemy's vehicles will be slow, the convoy will be concentrated, and the casualties will be more concentrated. Li Xiao stepped on the gravel on the ground. The C4 with the timer device buried there is difficult to detect with the naked eye. Chapter 18, Professional Ambush. Okay, here we are. Bury half of the C4 we brought, and keep the front and rear length within 50 meters. Yes, the information of the C4 explosives indicates that it has a lethality of 2,000 points. The opponent's off-road vehicle also has 2,000 points. It is estimated that the van may be a little higher. 1 C4 can destroy an off-road vehicle, and he installed 4 or 5 side by side. Even if the armored vehicle came, it would be enough to be in danger. Yi Ming was digging pits and burying mines here nervously, and Li Xiao asked Zhao Fipeng to go forward to observe. Half an hour later, Li Unian brought good news. He had killed 4 engineers without injury and controlled the production staff of the steel plant. Then next, they are likely to arrive at the ambush point within 10 or 20 minutes. You should come to reinforce immediately. After Li Xiao replied to Li Unian, he hurriedly turned back and urged Yi Ming to speed up the burying of explosives. Sure enough, Zhao Fipeng withdrew after just over 10 minutes. He had seen the people of the Xianchao team rushing here, and there were 5 off-road vehicles coming. Everyone dispersed to the 2 sides to ambush and prepare for battle. Everyone ran into the bushes on both sides and lay down, not daring to look up. After a while, the sound of wheels crushing gravel and the dull noise of engines roaring came from afar. The Xianchao team's convoy soon appeared in Li Xiao's field of vision. As expected, the ambush curve slowed down the lead car, and the speed of the entire convoy dropped to 40 kilometers per hour. However, there was a very troublesome thing. In order to make the explosion points more dense, Li Xiao only arranged Yi Ming to arrange a distance of 50 meters, but now the distance between the 5 cars has exceeded 50 meters. What should I do, boss? The explosives can't cover it. Yi Ming was undecided beside Li Xiao and asked hurriedly, there is no way. Try to put the convoy into the explosion range, and the rest of the people prepare grenades. After more than 10 seconds, The lead car was about to drive out of the explosion range, and there were still 2 cars outside the ambush range. Yiming had no choice but to press the detonation remote control. Boom 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 boom. The deafening explosion penetrated the woods and spread in all directions. Sand and gravel flew in the thick smoke, hitting the tree trunks on both sides of the road. The explosives near the edge even broke the smaller pines and cypresses. The 3 off-road vehicles were blown into scrap metal by the continuous shock waves on the spot. All the people in the car died on the spot. One car was even blown upside down, with flames shooting into the sky, and the bodies inside were thrown to the side of the road. Brake quickly, back out. Luo Feng was just thinking that he would beat the people who attacked him into a sieve when he arrived at the steel plant, but the vehicle in front suddenly fell into a sea of fire. He was shocked and hurriedly ordered the driver to brake, but how could he react at a distance of 20 to 30 meters? The driver stepped on the brakes to the bottom and just stopped in front of the car in front. Just as the driver was about to shift into reverse gear and back away, Luo Feng saw several black spheres thrown out from the bushes on the side of the road. He almost subconsciously opened the car door and ran back a few steps and lay on the ground in less than 2 seconds. Several grenades exploded at the same time. Only 3 people jumped out of the car in time, and the rest of the people turned into fireballs along with the car. The hot stones splashed on Luo Feng's back. He took out his pistol with a gloomy face and was about to fight back, but before he could get up, Di Yun and Zhang Shuang fired dense bullets at him. Seeing this, Luo Feng rolled desperately and rolled directly into the grass beside the road. At the same time, the last van also stopped not far away. 7 people jumped out of the car quickly and fought back on the spot with the help of the vehicle and the tree trunks on both sides as cover. Li Xiao secretly regretted at this time that he was still inexperienced in combat, which led to the ambush becoming a battle of equal strength. He opened Di Yun's information panel and added all the 2,400 points for killing 3 players and 18 soldiers of the Xian Chao team just now to him. Come on. Today I'll see who has more bullets, or who has more tankiness. Seeing his health rising, Di Yun knew what the boss meant. He called Zhang Shuang to follow him, and the 2 rushed along the gravel road, looking for death. Their actions naturally did not escape Luo Feng's eyes. Seeing that Di Yun dared to approach with only 2 people, he immediately ordered everyone to focus their fire on them. Bullets rained down in an instant, but because of the cover of the bushes, and Di Yun and Zhang Shuang's various dodges, they didn't hit many bullets. But Luo Feng soon found something wrong, because he had seen that Di Yun's bulletproof vest had been hid at least 7 or 8 times, and he should have died long ago. But the other party did not show any cowardice at all, rushing all the way, constantly closing the distance between them. The private should also die. Could it be a corporate? Luo Feng was more and more surprised. Even the machine gunner behind the other party was not dead after being hit by 3 or 4 bullets. How is this possible? The Black Hawk Empire's major only has 1,000 HP. Could someone be promoted to major or even lieutenant colonel so quickly? Luo Feng was still shocked by Di Yun's HP. The 2 of them had already rushed to the front. Zhang Shuang's squad machine gun was raised and fired crazily, making everyone unable to raise their heads. Under Zhang Shuang's suppression, Di Yun easily broke through the Xian Chao team's gun line. The assault rifle in his hand fired a burst of shots and took down 2 heads on the spot. Hurry up and throw the bomb. Blow them up. Luo Feng, who was unable to raise his head due to the machine gun bullets, yelled hysterically, so several grenades were thrown from the van and across the road, but Di Yun didn't take the grenades seriously at this time, and still ran forward, trying to fight the enemy behind the van. 2 close-point grenades exploded, taking away nearly 1,000 horsepower of Di Yun, but in return, Di Yun fired more fierce bullets after being disturbed by Di Yun and Zhang Shuang. The remaining enemies of the Xian Chao team had no time to care about others, so Zhao Feipeng took the opportunity to lead the rest of the people to press forward. The Xian Chao team was hit by the gun lines at close range and on both sides of the road, and the soldiers were killed one after another. But Luo Feng still had no intention of turning around and running away. Instead, he became more and more crazy and began to throw grenades at Zhang Shuang and Di Yun, but these 2 people were not stones, and the grenades could not cause any substantial damage after dodging left and right. Di Yun killed the last enemy behind the van and was about to move closer to force Luo Feng, when suddenly the sliding door of the van was pulled open from the inside, and then a large caliber pistol was pointed at Di Yun's side waist. Bang 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 bang, 5 consecutive shots, each of which dealt more than 50 points of damage, and Di Yun's health dropped below 2,000 points. Di Yun was injured, and when he turned his head, he saw the ponytail girl who leaned against Luo Feng the night before. At this moment, she was looking at Di Yun in horror with her pink lips open. Chapter 19 Hidden Danger? How is it possible? The girl panicked and tried to pull the trigger again, but unfortunately the heavy pistol in her hand seemed to have only 5 bullets and could not fire any more. Upon seeing this, Di Yun immediately kicked the girl with a ponytail into the gap between the seats with a roundhouse kick, then pulled out a Type 05 automatic pistol from the back of her waist and shot her 3 times in the head. Bang bang bang. 3 bullets passed through a bullet hole between her eyebrows, and bright red blood mixed with pink brains spurted onto the car window behind her head. Zio AI, Luo Feng, who saw this scene not far away, instantly turned red and shouted angrily, "Kill him! Kill him for me!" But in fact, there were only 4 soldiers left around him, and they were being suppressed by Zhang Shuang's machine guns, so there was no chance for him to deal any damage. "Commander, let's retreat, we can't fight anymore." 2 soldiers desperately dragged Luo Feng, who wanted to rush forward and kill Di Yun, back. The other 2 threw smoke bombs towards the gravel road and the direction of retreat. "They're running away. Chase them." When Zhao Fipeng saw the smoke rising, he knew what the enemy was thinking, so everyone gave up their tactical actions, picked up their guns and ran wildly. But the woods were overgrown with weeds, and it was really easy to hide 4 or 5 people. Even Zhao Fipeng, who was a scout, could find Luo Feng's escape direction for a while. More than a dozen people chased him around for hundreds of meters, but still found no trace. Soon, Liu Nian led his troops to the battlefield. He looked at the corpses and the vehicles with black smoke on the ground and said in surprise, "The regiment was destroyed." Li Zio shook his head with worry. "Because of my mistake, the leader of the Xian Chao team, the Luo Feng you mentioned, ran away with 4 people." "What?" Liu Nian frowned and said, "This is really called letting the tiger return to the mountain. He will definitely attack us if he gets the opportunity in the future. It's still my inexperience that caused the ambush battle to go wrong. As the old saying goes, if you're not afraid of thieves stealing, you're afraid of being missed. Now it's our turn to have trouble sleeping and eating." Li Zio thought for a while and said to Zhao Fipeng, "Fipeng, take Li Li and start investigating the surrounding areas from now on, centered on the Banshan steel plant, focusing on any military base within a 20-minute drive. You must find this person's lair." "Clear, this is the only method we can use now." "What should we do now?" Liu Nian asked. 4 members of the Xian Chao team have died today. It is estimated that these are the only ones they have left. The national channel said that the base will disappear if people die, so Luo Feng's current strength should be very small. Right now, let's send 2 combatants each to garrison the steel plant, and wait until my scouts find Luo Feng before considering the next step." "Alright." After cleaning the battlefield, all that was left of Xian Chao team's 5 vehicles was a van riddled with holes. Fortunately, Yiming had the ability to repair vehicles. After repairing them on the spot for a while, the durability was almost restored. At this time, Li Zio was also surprised to find that his vehicle's life pool had reached 10,000 points, and the 4 cross-country vehicles were given 8,000 points. In addition, the one that had ambushed the Imperial Major Officer a few days ago was exactly 10,000 points. And when Di Yun jumped into the cab, he found that he could open the van's information panel. Seeing this, he already had something in his mind. He turned back to look at Liu Nian with an envious look on his face and said, "Brother, give this van to me first. If you get any later, it will be yours." Liu Nian shrugged, "I didn't kill it, so I don't have the right to distribute it. Anyway, I will follow you from now on, so I should have bread." Although he will soon have an all-terrain vehicle, it can only seat 2 people and the production speed is still slow. This van can seat up to 7 people, so it's good for pulling 1 class at a time, but it's a bit old. This van has a total durability of 3,000 points. It was almost scrapped after being hit by hundreds of bullets. After repairs, it still has a durability of 1,000 points. Yiming said that he needed a professional repair shop to get it back to full health, but now he only needs to open the vehicle information panel to directly increase the maximum health of the vehicle. Add 5,000 vehicle health points to the van, and it becomes a blood cow van that can hold up to 4 off-road vehicles. "Brothers, get in the car." 2 recruits and Yiming were left to station here and collect resources, while Zhao Fipeng and Li investigated Li Luo Feng's lair. There were exactly 7 of them in one car, and they fled. Di Yun's driving skills are pretty good. It took him 3 or 4 hours to arrive, and only took 20 minutes to return to the base. Having a vehicle really saves time. After returning to the base, Li Xiao immediately went to the military factory. By this time, the first all-terrain vehicle had already rolled off the assembly line. Looking at the 4 oversized all-terrain off-road tires, the sturdy and stable motorcycle faucet, and the technologically sophisticated electronic instrument screen, Li Xiao couldn't help but want to ride on it for a spin. Zhang Lang, you ride on it and send it to Zhao Fipeng, and then return to Wufang Town to collect resources. We won't delay either place. After speaking, Li Xiao was about to go to the restaurant when he suddenly remembered something. He opened the panel of the military factory and saw that 7 sets of individual soldier communicators had been completed. You can bring 6 more sets of individual communicators over there, along with 20 pieces of field rations. With the individual soldier communicator bench in military factory and Zhao Fipeng, Li and the others can contact each other at any time. The communication terminal on Li's body is no problem for 10 kilometers in radial mode, and it should be able to cover even Wufang Town in this way. As long as he contacts Li through the satellite communication system, he can simultaneously grasp the situation of the Banshan steel plant and Wufang Town. After fighting for a whole morning, Li Xiao was a little tired. Du Zidane made braised beef cans, fried potato shreds for lunch, and everyone enjoyed the meal. This was all thanks to the fact that he gave up medical supplies at the transfer station at night and took a lot of vegetables and fruits. Originally, I had a life pool bonus, so as long as I didn't die in seconds, those medical supplies that were slow to recover blood would be useless. After dinner, Li Xiao's afternoon activities were still to sleep. But Luo Feng's red eyes lingered in his mind, making it difficult for him to fall asleep. It seemed that the ponytail girl and he probably knew each other before crossing over, otherwise if it was just a fleeting relationship, Luo Feng would not be so miserable. Thinking of this, Li Xiao simply got up and contacted Li to ask about Zhao Fipeng's progress. Zhao Fipeng was also dedicated. It was already midnight and he was still riding Li on a bike to search along the search range he had set in 20 minutes. According to the speed of the van on the road, a radius of 30 kilometers was possible, so the range was really large. At 12 o'clock, when Li Xiao opened the base information panel to receive the latest 3 subscription orders, a voice appeared in his mind. It was the same voice he heard when he woke up 6 days ago. Dear Commander, the Spark event has been launched and will last for 24 hours. Do you want to participate? Chapter 20, Crushing from the System. As the system prompt sounded, a message panel popped up in his field of vision. Li Xiao took a closer look and saw that this was a detailed introduction to Spark activities. Damn. Is this a different world or a game world? Li Xiao is a little confused now. Before, it could be understood that he was possessed by the national system, but now the system is actually active, which makes him a little dizzy. After taking a closer look, this Spark event seems pretty good. If you kill the Black Hawk Empire troops within 24 hours, you can get points and exchange them for equipment and resource supply boxes. When it comes to fighting the Black Hawk Empire, a battalion of more than 300 people in the transfer field is a good choice, but unfortunately the opponent's firepower configuration is too strong. So Li Xiao thought of his old job again, blocking the road and robbing, but this time he doesn't plan to play on the branch line of Wufang Town, but to go to Xichen to cause trouble. After taking stock of the inventory, half of the 300 pieces of timed C4 explosives seized from the transfer yard were left, and there were about 300 pieces of fragmentation grenades left. Well, let's play like this. He currently lacks resources to upgrade his foundation to level 5, so he is taking advantage of the event to get more. After closing the page, Li Xiao used the conscription order and obtained an engineer, a machine gunner, and a communications soldier. The new engineer can just replace Yiming. This guy is about to be promoted to corporate by relying on blasting Yang Zhao. Drive him there and bring Yiming back. Li Xiao called Yang Zhao overnight and asked him to drive the new recruits in a van to replace Yiming after daybreak. Li Xiao took 8 infantrymen including Di Yun, as well as Yiming, Zhang Shuang and another communications soldier, machine gunner, and headed straight to the national highway leading to Xichen in the southeast. 2 hours later, they arrived at the national highway, which was about 20 kilometers away from Xichen. Although it is a national highway, it is still 2-lane in both directions, but it is wider than the branch road, and steel guardrails and drainage channels have been added. What a pity. These guardrails can't be collected. Yu Mingwo looked at the guardrail above his head under the drainage channel. What the hell are you thinking? If this guardrail could be collected, it would probably be gone long ago. Li Xiao smiled and cursed, then looked at the north side of the road. Since the road was paved with asphalt, Yiming spent a long time burying 2 explosives in it, and the traces of backfiling were very obvious. However, this state is barely enough. If every one of the pilots of the Black Hawk Empire could detect an abnormality, Li Xiao would be in a state of admiration. Boss. The car is coming. After waiting for half an hour, the time came to 10 o'clock in the morning, and the first prey came into view. It was a pickup truck that looked like a civilian one, but in fact there was a heavy machine gun in the cargo box, and the 2 shooters were staring at the surroundings intently. There were 2 people in the cab of the pickup truck, both wearing the military uniforms of the Black Hawk Empire, and they seemed not to notice anything unusual. Is this a force from the Black Hawk Empire? When Li Xiao saw this look, he couldn't help but think of the signature configuration of an organization from a war-torn country before time travel. Boss, do you want to fight? Fight. Why don't you fight? The pickup truck was traveling very fast. Li Xiao thought briefly and gave the command to attack. Then there was a loud noise, and the pickup truck took off on the spot, rolled twice in midair and hit the guardrail. You attacked the Shanghai Republic militia, and the hatred between the organization and you increased. What the hell? What the hell? Li Xiaozhang was secretly happy that when he was about to get 4 points, a warning suddenly appeared in the system. He was stunned at that time. It's over, boss. We killed the local resistance forces of the Shanghai Republic. This will have a very bad impact on our future occupation of other resource areas that require the cooperation of local civilians, Yiming said awkwardly. It's such a beeping dog. Li Xiao was very depressed. This was no different than killing a neutral NPC and then being wanted across the map. It's a pity that the 4 people in the pickup truck were too dead to die, and there was no hope of resuscitation. Forget it, clean the battlefield and rebury the explosives. Not to mention, this militia organization is quite fat. 4 people actually found more than 80 star coins, and the car also had 60 points of fuel and half a base of 2,000 rounds of heavy machine gun ammunition. Although there was an accident, it was still a good start. Half an hour later, another target appeared. Unfortunately, they were 2 transport trucks full of Black Hawk Empire soldiers. According to Yiming, this transport truck has a durability of 12,000 and requires 2 C4 explosives to completely destroy it. But they installed a total of 2 C4s side by side. If the front vehicle is blown up, the rear vehicle cannot be blown up. No matter which one is blown up, 30 strong men will jump out of it. His firepower will definitely be lost. After releasing the 2 transport trucks, Li Xiao asked Yiming to seize the time to arrange 2 more. The next time was his harvest time. The second person to take the bait was a military jeep, which was taken away by a C4 with 6,000 points of durability. A lieutenant, a first-class soldier and a private brought him 16 points, and some weapons and ammunition. Good, continue. Li Xiao's bandit-like robbery activities continued into the afternoon. More than 40 Black Hawk Empire troops were recruited, 9 vehicles were destroyed, and a total of 220 points were obtained. Quick! Drag the scrapped car to the side of the road, and Yiming will continue to lay mines. This section of the road at the scene has been riddled with holes by Yiming's C4 explosives, and vehicles passing by can see the abnormality here from a long distance. However, since this is a national highway with no branches around, they have no choice but to pass through here. Yiming, who has been promoted to corporate, has become more and more skilled in laying C4. If he continues to do this, he might be promoted to sergeant before midnight tonight. Li Xiao hid in the ditch and sold the seized pistols, rifles and other weapons to the trading center at low prices. More than half of his backpack was filled with various weapons. At this moment, a dull humming sound came from the sky. Everyone looked up. The afternoon sun was too dazzling and only a few clouds could be seen in the sky. What's the sound at this time? Li Xiao, everyone asked. It sounds like an airplane. Di Yun listened carefully and said uncertainly, it's a helicopter. And it's an armed helicopter. As soon as Di Yun finished speaking, Zhang Shuang shouted. Everyone looked at Zhang Shuang and saw him pointing to the southwest, where a thin helicopter with launchers on both sides of its wings was flying over the treetops at high speed and low altitude, heading straight for them. Everyone, including Li Xiao, was stunned. This was the first time he saw a real armed helicopter. The shock was even more frightening than the first day he saw the aerospace carrier looming in the sky. Just when they didn't know what was going on, a honeycomb launcher under the wing of the armed helicopter continuously sprayed flames, smoke and dust, and 4 missiles were fired at them in succession. Fuck. Rockets. Take cover. Chapter 21 New Function of Life Pool. Diyun shouted and hurriedly dragged Li Xiao into the ditch drainage. Then a circle of fire surged overhead. The violent explosion shook up countless stones, hitting with scars. After the explosion, Li Xiao raised his head again. The scene had turned into scorched earth. The 3 infantrymen who were picking up the debris of vehicles on the road were killed on the spot. Nima, Li Xiao almost vomited blood. This wave directly wiped out his refreshed troops for a day. Is this air superiority crushing? As he spoke, the armed helicopter opened fire again. The fully automatic 20mm aircraft cannon under the nose fired continuously. With only a dozen rounds, it blew up his van parked not far away. Quick! Everyone disperse and retreat into the forest area. Li Xiao saw that things were not going well, and quickly ordered everyone to retreat from the national highway into the forest areas on both sides. The advantage of armed helicopters over infantry is crushing. Only by hiding in the forest area can they avoid the attack of armed helicopters. Soon the armed helicopter opened fire again, and several rockets flew towards them. This time, the new machine gunner who followed Zhang Shuang was killed by a rocket in the drainage ditch because he ran a step slower. After the third attack, the armed helicopter flew over their heads, and Li Xiao and others successfully retreated into the forest area. However, the forest near the national highway was a bit sparse, and the armed helicopter could still see their figures, so it kept hovering over their heads and pouring ammunition. The armor-piercing incendiary bombs hit Li Xiao and his buttocks like they were free, and even ignited the dead leaves in the forest. My God, pilot brother, I was wrong. I promised to change places after each shot. Okay, this armed helicopter was obviously coming for them. After all, they had been tossing around in this area for a whole morning. Although they did not leave any survivors, the Black Hawk Empire must have noticed the abnormality here in other ways, so they sent this helicopter to deal with them. The continuous attack of the armed helicopter has left the remaining 8 of them in a mess, and each of they have been injured. Li Xiao was secretly annoyed when he looked at the armed helicopter above his head. If he had a short-range anti-aircraft weapon like RPG, the birdman in the sky would not be so arrogant. As if sensing Li Xiao's dissatisfaction, the armed helicopter issued another piercing scream under its wing. This time, it launched an anti-tank missile. Boss, be careful. As soon as he heard the sound of the missile launch, Diyun found something wrong and immediately pounced on Li Xiao, who was running wildly. Boom! The explosion was deafening. Li Xiao only felt a wave of heat, followed by sand and mud. At the same time, he also felt a burning pain in his calf, and then this pain seemed to drill into his heart, making him dizzy. Ahem. I fuck your ancestors, Li Xiao cursed in pain, but he was glad in his heart because he was not killed by the explosion. He struggled to sit up from the ground, and saw Diyun lying beside him covered in blood and gasping for breath. He asked nervously, Diyun, how are you? Are you okay, boss? Cough cough. Don't worry, I'm fine. Li Xiao quickly checked Diyun's health, and when he saw that he had less than 300 points of health left, he couldn't help but take a breath. Diyun's health was 7,100 points. The missile landed about 10 meters in front of them, and it had not hit him directly, but it had already caused such a strong damage. If Diyun hadn't blocked the power of the explosion, he would probably have died. At this time, Li Xiao looked at his leg again. A shrapnel hit his calf, and it was bleeding. He quickly took out 2 bags of bandages he had kept from his backpack and gave them to Diyun. After wrapping the bandages, Diyun's health began to recover slowly, and Li Xiao breathed a sigh of relief. Today was a bloody lesson. He was too obsessed with scoring points and didn't realize that the armed forces and equipment behind the Black Hawk Empire troops he attacked were as strong as crushing, and the helicopter was still hovering overhead. Li Xiao supported Diyun and continued to run. There was a denser forest ahead, and the rest of the people seemed to have run into it. Although the helicopter was most likely equipped with far-infrared imaging equipment, it gave up the pursuit after they entered the dense forest. This was something Li Xiao didn't expect. After finding a place to rest for a while, Li Xiao gave Diyun a field ration, and the 2 of them ate some to replenish their physical strength. But at this moment, Li Xiao suddenly found that the value of the life pool in his field of vision was a little wrong. He remembered that before being attacked by the helicopter, he had accumulated more than 6,000 health points and more than 50,000 vehicle durability, but now he saw that there were only more than 4,000 health points left. Could it be? Li Xiao was shocked. He was sure that he had never allocated health points to anyone, and Diyun, who helped him block the injury, lost 6,000 health points, and Di Yun only blocked his front at that time. The shock wave generated by the explosion was difficult for ordinary people to bear even if it was a side injury, so he had a bold guess that the health points in the life pool offset the damage he suffered. Fuck. If that's the case, wouldn't it be almost difficult for me to die if I put hundreds of millions of health points into the life pool? Thinking of this, Li Xiao seemed to immediately come out of the shadow of being slaughtered by the helicopter just now. Let's go, Di Yun, let's go back first. After walking more than 20 kilometers, Li Xiao and Di Yun returned to the base at dusk. Fortunately, although they were embarrassed, the other 8 people returned safely. In the restaurant, Li Xiao said to everyone, "Brothers, I'm sorry. Because of my mistake, 4 people were killed or injured in our base. I swear here that I will never make the same mistake again." After Li Xiao finished speaking, everyone in the restaurant showed a confident look on their faces again. Not only did 4 people die in one day, but he himself almost died. Li Xiao couldn't help but restrain his somewhat inflated mentality. Surviving in a strange world is much more dangerous than he imagined, even if it looks like a game world. Of course, today's situation is not completely fruitless. At least he knows another function of the life pool. After dinner, he returned to the second floor of the headquarters and opened the Spark event interface. Because he wasted the afternoon on the road, he only got more than 230 points. I don't know if this score is considered a lot or a little overall. Thinking of this, he also opened the national channel and randomly entered a chat channel. He found that the players were actually discussing the Spark event. "Brothers, I am a humble little brother. I killed 21 people and got 70 points. Wow, 70 points. I only stole a patrol today and got more than 10 points. It's always the case that the bolder the person, the more productive he is. I directly killed a police station this morning. Do you think I'll give you a thumbs up? Fuck. The brothers above are so powerful. There are dozens of people in a police station. It's a pity that you can only get a resource box with 5 points and an equipment box with 20 points. Is there any boy from Shangshu City who wants to live with me? I am white, beautiful and sexy. I only need 3 resource boxes a night. The bitch above is raising the price. Just now, there was a girl who only wanted 2 boxes. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22 Level 5 Base. Although most of the chat channel is filled with meaningless words, you can still get a lot of information. He turned off the chat system and looked at the exchange conditions. It was indeed 5 points for 1 resource box. The resource boxes were divided into 3 types, steel, fuel, and rare ore. The first 2 types were 100 points each, while rare ore was only 50 points. In addition, according to people in the chat channel, the equipment boxes at the back can open some good things, such as a group of 10 C4 explosives or fragmentation grenades, or advanced bulletproof suits, etc. Anyway, there are a lot of good things. After a little calculation, Li Xiao exchanged 10 steel boxes, 5 fuel tanks, and 15 rare ore boxes. Because he seized 400 or 500 points of fuel in the morning battle, and the fuel for upgrading the level 5 base was only 400 points short, he exchanged some more rare ores here. He exchanged all the remaining 80 points for equipment boxes. Come on, let me see if my face is black. With a click of his finger, Li Xiao's backpack flashed, the equipment box opened, and a set of black bulletproof suits appeared. This is a set of high-level protective gear called Special Bulletproof Suit, including bulletproof vest and titanium alloy full bulletproof helmet, which can reduce 60% of damage. It just so happens that Di Yun's bulletproof suit and helmet were blown up by missiles, so this one will be given to him. Di Yun's bulletproof suit has been hit by a lot of bullets since he started serving, and it only has more than 20% of durability left. It was directly blown up by an anti-tank missile launched yesterday. The second box opened an assault rifle. This pale yellow painted assault rifle named Scar is equipped with a double scope and infrared sight and an extended 40-round long magazine. The lethality is more than 10 points higher than the standard QBZ-19 assault rifle. If it hits the head, the damage can be increased by 7 or 8 points, but the firing rate is slightly weaker. But this Scar has a lot more tactical accessories, and it has obvious advantages in medium-range battles, so Li Xiao still gave this rifle to Di Yun. The third box opened 10 sets of jungle camouflage suits, which are also called ghillie suits. They are of no use to Li Xiao for the time being, but he can send one set to Zhao Fipeng first. When the fourth box was opened, Li Xiao was stunned for a moment. It turned out to be a 4-rotor reconnaissance drone slightly larger than a palm, which felt like a modified civilian aerial photography drone. The endurance is 40 minutes, and the maximum flight radius is 5 kilometers. Hey, give this thing to Zhao Fipeng. It seems that the search ability will be greatly enhanced. Now a day and a night have passed, and Zhao Fipeng still hasn't found Luo Feng's base. If he has this drone, he may get twice the result with half the effort. Yang Zhao, make another trip and give this camouflage suit and drone to Zhao Fipeng. Yes, after dealing with these things, Li Xiao felt a little bit of a loss. His overall strength did not improve much. He just earned some resources, but almost lost his life. After opening all the resource boxes, the resources of the level 5 base have been raised, and Li Xiao immediately clicked to upgrade. It was already past midnight, and Li Xiao did not use the refresh conscription order. Now he had experience. After the base was upgraded, new soldiers would often be unlocked. If you waited until the base was upgraded before opening the conscription order, he might get new soldiers. The upgrade speed of the level 5 base was obviously much slower. It was not until noon the next day, about 12 hours before the base was upgraded. The level 5 base already had an area of 6,000 square meters. Li Xiao couldn't wait to open the base information panel. This time the base gave 2 buildings at once. One was the warehouse. As the player survived longer in the alien world, he would get more things. Although the 100 grid position could be infinitely stacked, each thing had to occupy 1 grid position. The warehouse could directly store the excess supplies after it was built. A warehouse had 100 grid positions, which could also be infinitely stacked. The durability of this warehouse was also extremely high, 200,000 points. It was estimated that there would be no more than a dozen anti-tank missiles like yesterday that could not explode. Of course, the cost of the warehouse was also relatively expensive, 500 points of steel and 200 points of rare ore. The second building made Li Xiao's eyes light up. Primary Military Academy, a functional facility for training the comprehensive combat strength of all arms of the Navy, Army and Air Force. After the instructors are stationed in the academy, they can conduct systematic training for the corresponding arms and improve the rating of individual soldiers. When he first checked Di Yun's information before, he saw that his rating was G and it also had a star mark. After nearly a week of fighting, Di Yun has been upgraded to private and his rating has been upgraded to G5 stars. It is worth noting that the upper limit of life that Li Xiao has increased for Di Yun and others does not seem to be within the system's strength evaluation criteria, so Di Yun's true comprehensive strength should have far exceeded the current rating. And this military academy is to improve the combat capability of soldiers through theoretical methods, but the premise is that there must be professional instructors stationed, and he feels that this should not be free, it must be charged. And the training time is definitely not short. The construction cost of the military academy is exactly 4 times that of the warehouse. Li Xiao now has no resources available and can only temporarily put it on hold. Resources, we still have to get resources. At noon, Li Xiao found time to use the 3 subscription orders. You know what, he really got a new soldier, Sniper. When Li Xiao saw the Sniper, he thought of how badly they were suppressed by the Sniper in the battle at the Mid-Mountain Steel Plant. If there was a Sniper at that time to fight against a grandson of the Black Hawk Empire, they would not have given the duck in hand to the Xian Chao team. The new Sniper is named Yan Yizhao, and he uses a QBU, A7 sniper rifle with a 10-round magazine and an effective range of 900 meters. This gun uses 5.56mm general rifle bullets, and can also use special sniper bullets, armor-piercing bullets of the same caliber. If you wear a Kevlar helmet, the damage can reach more than 85 points for headshots. The other 2 conscription orders spawned a scout and a communications soldier. The new communications soldier, who came yesterday, unfortunately died, and another one came today to make up for the vacancy. Now his total force is 16 people, which is exactly the number of 2 standard squads. After adding 1,000 horsepower to Yan Yizhao, Li Xiao began to consider resources. His current fixed income is 170 points of 3 resources from Wufang Town and 250 points of steel from the Mid-Mountain Steel Plant, which is pitifully small. Li Xiao really doesn't like this little bit of income. Since he made a fortune at the transfer station, he feels that he still has to fight the troops of the Black Hawk Empire to make a difference. After thinking for a long time without any clue, Li Xiao simply contacted Liu Nian. Liu Nian actually had nothing to do, mainly because he didn't have enough troops and ammunition, so he could only survive slowly. When he heard that Li Xiao wanted to go out, Liu Nian responded immediately. The two of them summarized the map information and unanimously decided to go to Xichen to try their luck. Chapter 23 Crossing Creek City at Night. Xichen is actually a small county in the southwest of Yongchang Prefecture. The total population before the war was about 70,000. Now there are still more than 1,000 troops and militia organizations of the Xianai Republic in the city to resist the invasion of the Black Hawk Empire. Speaking of the Xianai militia organization, it seems that I accidentally killed 4 of them yesterday. Oh my god, you dare to fight against neutral forces? Aren't you afraid of being surrounded by enemies? It's a mistake. In the forest area along the national highway, Li Xiao and Liu Nian each led a squad of troops to Xichen. Along the way, Li Xiao got a lot of information about Xichen through Liu Nian. Liu Nian went to the national chat channel to collect intelligence whenever he had nothing to do. In the past week, he has had a clearer understanding of the country called Xianai Republic under his feet. First of all, the people who came from long ago are basically concentrated in Xianai Republic, and Xianai Republic ranked second in the comprehensive national strength of Han-Haxing before the war. Moreover, the civilization of Xianai Republic is similar to that of Longo, which is reflected in the regional boundaries. The province, state and county system is also adopted. For example, the Yongchang state where they are located is a large state in the southwest of the Xianai Republic. The difference is that the administrative level of the state and the province is the same. However, the specific deployment of the towns around them is unclear. Since the players are very cautious now and dare not leave the base too far, there is still a lack of trust between local players to contact each other. Even Liu Nian actually only knows the existence of Xichen, and whether there is a larger city in the north needs to be explored. Let's go into the city after dinner. About 3 kilometers away from Xichen, Li Xiao suggested to rest first. After all, there will be many dangers when entering the city later, so it is best to ensure sufficient physical strength first. Everyone stayed in the woods, eating cold canned beef, chewing salty and spicy dried meat, and listening to the fierce artillery fire from the direction of the city. The environment was as real as it could be. After taking a sip of juice made from drinking water, Li Xiao said to Liu Nian, "We will find a gap to enter the city later. The primary purpose is to collect resources and supplies and try to avoid fighting. Of course, in order to collect resources, I specially transfer 2 engineers, one of whom is a private first class." Li Xiao nodded, and he took Yiming with him. The corporal's collection speed is 25 points per hour, 15 points faster than the private first class, and the efficiency exceeds that of Liu Nian's 2 engineers. There are abandoned vehicles everywhere in the city, and there must be a lot of rare minerals in any building. As long as there are no players in it, there is no need to consider the problem of reserves, but it is not so easy to get in. Basically, the entrances to the city connecting the highway and the national highway, and even the places that can be entered by car or on foot in the 4 directions are all in exchange of fire. Li Xiao and Liu Nian took the troops around a long circle and found that at least 2 or 3 regiments of the Black Hawk Empire army were attacking Xichen. Moreover, fighter planes would carry out airstrikes on key areas every once in a while in the air, but due to the densely built-up areas in Xichen, the Empire's armored forces seemed to be insufficient in number, and the ground advancement progress was very slow. This resulted in Xichen being in the hands of the Xianai troops from the time Li Xiao and his team were born until now. However, the heavy artillery troops deployed by the Black Hawk Empire on the periphery had already blown the highway toll station in the north of Xichen into pieces, and an armored vehicle unit of the Black Hawk Empire was gathering and waiting. "Old Xiao, is it difficult to get in?" Li Xiao and Liu Nian were observing the battle situation on the top of the city in a 3-story house in the northern suburbs of the city. Liu Nian looked at the time and it was already 11 o'clock in the evening. If they could not enter the city before dawn, their situation would be very dangerous after dawn, because the main forces of the Black Hawk Empire were everywhere around them. "Let's wait and see. If it doesn't work, we can go back to the south to find a breakthrough." Li Xiao rubbed his eyes. "Commander, there's something going on." As soon as Li Xiao finished speaking, a scout beside Liu Nian suddenly reported in a low voice, "Commander, a team of 12 people just passed by at 11 o'clock, and they went down the drainage ditch." "Got down the drainage ditch?" Li Xiao raised the telescope seized from the transfer yard and looked over. It was a drainage ditch for agricultural irrigation, but it was built around the city. Although there was a river connecting to the top of the city, The banks were controlled by the Black Hawk Empire and the Xianyu troops, so it was impossible to get through. Whatever the situation, follow them and see. From the route of action, it can be seen that they are players. Li Unian saw that Li Xiao was still hesitating, and directly pulled Li Xiao down from the house. Everyone followed and jumped into the half-meter deep canal, and then followed the mysterious team. Although it was summer, the water in the canal was refreshing. Although everyone was soaked, they were very energetic. After a while, they had already caught up to the other side not far behind, but Li Xiao and Li Unian were surprised to see that the figures of the team disappeared one after another. Seeing this, the two hurriedly followed with their troops. Only then did they discover that there was a metal filter fence on the side of the canal where the team disappeared. The fence had been removed and thrown beside the canal, and part of the canal water flowed into the dark space below through the gap in the fence. It sounds like it's only 2 meters high. What should we do? What else can we do? Go down. Li Xiao patted Di Yun's shoulder after saying this. The latter squatted down without hesitation, held his breath, and then went into the water and shuttled down through the gap. The troops following him also entered one after another. Li Xiao had learned to swim in junior high school, and he could hold his breath underwater for more than 10 or 20 seconds, so it was no problem for him to drill into the sewer. Within a few minutes, everyone successfully went down to the bottom of the canal. Di Yun turned on the tactical flashlight under the scar gun head. Only then did Li Xiao realize that this was actually a city sewer. The walls on both sides, including the top, were poured with concrete. Under their feet was about 10 centimeters of mud and a water layer as deep as their forearms, 3 meters wide, 2 meters high. Could this be? Yes, this should be the sewer leading to Zichen. Li Xiao responded. I didn't expect the guy in front to find this passage. We came to the right place today. Li Xiao did not dare to delay at all, and led the team to wade forward. There might be a fork in the water ahead, so they had to follow the footsteps of the team in front. After walking about 200 or 300 meters, they heard fierce gunfire from above, and from time to time, shells fell and exploded above their heads, shaking off the mud. The crowd walked faster and faster, and they could even vaguely hear the sound of water kicking in front of them. Li Xiao asked Di Yun to turn off the tactical flashlight, and everyone continued to walk along the wall. After a while, Li Uni and Li Xiao heard the sound of water splashing in front of them, and turned a corner, and a sewer intersection appeared in front of them. There was a ray of light shining above the intersection, and 2 waterway openings were vaguely visible in front of them. Which way to go? Li Unian held the wall and took a breath. Li Xiao was about to speak, but suddenly his eyes flashed, and several beams of light shone in front of them. Don't move. Chapter 24 Yundongliu. When these words were spoken, everyone almost subconsciously raised their guns and were about to fire, but Li Xiao immediately stopped everyone. Don't shoot, everyone. Li Xiao stood stabilized. Everyone. His brain was running at high speed. The opponent at 2 intersections and had an absolute gun line advantage, but he did not choose to fire immediately. It seemed that he did not intend to fight, but had other circumstances. He put down his pistol and stood up, saying, Your Majesty, you are so brave. Can you come out and talk? After Li Xiao finished speaking, after a while, a slender, tall and thin young man with short hair came out of the water channel on the right. The opponent was at least 1.8 meters tall, wearing a baseball cap and a dark combat uniform that looked like high-end goods. His face was covered with a beige square scarf. Although he couldn't see the whole picture, from the upper half of his face with cold eyebrows and starry eyes, he could tell that this man was a bit handsome, although Li Xiao didn't want to admit it. Where are you from and why are you following me? Li Xiao heard that this man's voice was clear and bright, and he should be about the same age as him. Isn't it obvious? The two of we wanted to go into the city, and you happened to show up, so we came to have a look. Of course, it was only for a look. Really? It's a pity that I don't like others to take advantage of me. Li Xiao's heart moved, as if he knew what the other party was thinking. Then please tell me the conditions. 200 star coins per person for travel expenses. Damn it. You're robbing me. Li Unian was anxious. It was obvious that he didn't seem to have so much money, and he wouldn't be willing to part with it even if he had an estimate. There are 6 branch roads ahead. Each branch road is 1 kilometer short and 2 or 3 kilometers long. The sewer manhole covers at the top of these branch roads are blocked by the Xianyu troops. Only I know the only exit. Do ghosts believe you? Li Unian obviously didn't believe it. Make a deal. What? When Li Xiao was about to persuade Li Xiao to find his own way, Li Xiao unexpectedly agreed. He lowered his voice and said anxiously, "Old Zio, 200 star coins is a lot. Besides, I don't have enough. Who knows if he is fooling us? I'll pay for your share. It's getting late now. We'll finish it today. You can come back next time." It's equivalent to buying a road for 200 yuan. It's quite a bargain. After that, Li Zio glanced at his backpack, put 400 star coins into a card, and then flew it towards the opponent. The young man grabbed the card and put it into his backpack without any hesitation. "Yun Dongliu, happy to cooperate, Li Zio. His name is Liunian. Nice to meet you." Yun Dongliu didn't say anything nonsense. He didn't turn back to the waterway behind him, but walked into the waterway on the left. "Damn. This kid is so shady." Li Zio smiled lightly and said, "When you go out, you must be on guard against others." As Yun Dongliu said, there are quite a few forks in the road ahead, and the directions are different. Each fork in the road twists and turns, and the direction at the back is completely different from the original one. Not to mention relying solely on memory to judge. Even with a compass, I would probably have to take a lot of wrong paths. After walking around for more than an hour, Yun Dongliu took them to a narrow waterway with a width of only 1 meter. Then he pointed in front and whispered, "Did you see the steel ladder on the wall? It's 5 meters above. It's the sewer entrance next to the main court of Zichen High School. Brother Dongliu is awesome." Li Zio gave him a thumbs up. "We'll go our separate ways after we go up, so please be careful." Yun Dongliu said nothing and jumped onto the ladder first, followed by his troops. When the manhole cover on the top was lifted and the moonlight came in, Li Zio began to become excited. It might be very exciting tonight. Li Zio climbed to the ground and looked back. This was really a corner of a stadium. Not far away was the teaching building. The people from Yun Dongliu had already disappeared. After Liunian climbed up, Li Zio said to him, "I think this is not the first time Yun Dongliu has come. The resources in the city are refreshed every week. There is probably nothing left in the school. Let's go directly south." Liunian wiped the mud on his trousers and asked curiously, "Yun Dongliu just sold the entrance to us like this. Isn't he afraid that we will flip it and give it to someone else? Will you sell it to others?" Li Zio asked. "Am I stupid? Let someone come in to fight against me, then it's over." Li Zio shrugged. "The reason why he brought us in is because we found his traces. He had no choice but to maximize his profits. As for whether he's worried about us leaking it, I think what he did is clear enough." The battle in the north of the city became more and more intense. Li Zio suspected that Xianyu might lose control of Zichen tonight, so their time was very tight. "Liunian, I have a hatred value with the Xianyu troops. Let's act separately so as not to affect you later. We will meet here on time at 6 o'clock. "Good." Liunian quickly led his troops out of the school gate in a swagger, while Li Zio chose to climb over the wall. After leaving the school, there was a commercial street to the south. They rushed there and found that the resource point on this street was empty, so they had to go further south. Until Li Zio turned 2 streets and came to a certain building, an abnormal situation happened. At the main entrance of the building, 2 groups of people were confronting each other using various vehicle bunkers. Li Zio took a closer look and found that one of them was actually Yun Dongliu, and the other was a team of 37 people formed by 2 players. "Good guy, I didn't expect there are other players in the city." Li Zio quickly dispersed the troops and directed Yan Yizhao to enter a nearby high-rise building to prepare for action at any time. Above the door of the building where Yun Dongliu was confronting the 2 players was the sign of Zichen Bank. Li Zio immediately confirmed that there must be something good in this building. Otherwise, according to Li Zio's first impression of Yun Dongliu, they should have withdrawn long ago when the enemy force was 3 times stronger. On the street where the cool breeze was blowing, the moonlight had gradually dissipated, and Yun Dongliu's cold eyes were staring at the target 50 meters away. He slowly said, "Chen Ji. Those who are untrustworthy will not have the last laugh. We reached an agreement here a week ago. One person has the collection rights of Zichen Bank for 1 week. Today is the 8th day. Didn't I tell you, Yun Dongliu, that I didn't have enough engineering troops last week and I confiscated all the resources of Zichen Bank? You have to wait until I finish, right? It's your business whether you finish collecting it or not. I only know that this place is mine today." Haha. Chenji, wearing a brown jacket in the darkness, walked out and said expressionlessly, "Yun Dongliu, I don't know whether you should be old-fashioned or naive. A week ago, I was a professional in combat. Only 2 people less than you will agree to share the star coins with you, and now," Chenji looked back at the armed troops behind him, "do you think you are worthy? Chapter 25 The happiness in the city Li Xiao could not imagine. Star coin. Li Xiao pricked up his ears and heard the word star coin. He immediately became interested. Aren't banks just for making money? I don't know how much money this bank can swipe, which is worth the two sides confrontation. Yun Dongliu said coldly, you will soon know whether it is worthy or not. What? Do you want to fight? With a force of 3-1, I advise you to leave obediently. I don't want to waste troops. Chen Ji heard the murderous intent in Yun Dongliu's mouth, and his expression became cold. But he and his companions beside him did not seem to notice some abnormal conditions, such as the scrapped vehicles and the faint flashing red lights under the metal trash cans. Boom! A shocking explosion instantly illuminated the entire street, and even scared Li Xiao. But this was not over. Two scrapped cars exploded again, and the soldiers hiding behind were blown away on the spot. The three explosions almost all occurred in Chen Ji's troops. After the smoke, only half of Chen Ji's troops stood up, and a considerable number of them were injured. At the same time, Yun Dongliu launched the next round of offensive, throwing more than a dozen grenades, and countless lethal fragments and steel balls forced the enemy who was about to counterattack back, and then a fierce gun battle broke out between the two sides. Good guy, this Yun Dongliu also likes to ambush. Seeing this, Li Xiao almost knew what was going on. This Yun Dongliu should have come to harvest the star coins of Zicheng Bank today, but he didn't expect that the guy who originally shared resources with him was reluctant to give it up. But Yun Dongliu seemed to have been prepared and arranged the exchange side in advance. So within 1 minute of the start of the war, he made the opponent's troops, which were originally 3 times more than him, lose more than half. But even so, the remaining firepower of the enemy seemed to be more powerful than him. Good Yun Dongliu. How dare you to trick me? Today I will kill you. Machine gunners, fire. Chen Ji and his teammates originally had 5 machine gunners. After 2 were killed by C4 explosives, there were still 3 left. As soon as the 3 machine gunners opened fire, the suppression power was immediately reflected. Dozens or hundreds of bullets per second hit the scrapped car where Yun Dongliu and his men were hiding, making crackling sounds. Yun Dongliu only had 1 machine gunner, and he was being taken care of by the other side, so he couldn't even raise his head. Under such circumstances, Chen Ji's troops began to detour to both sides, trying to outflank the opponent. Under the lights of the surrounding buildings, Chen Ji's actions were obvious. Yun Dongliu knew Chen Ji's tactics, but his men were now being suppressed and could not stop him at all. Boss, are we going to take action? Yun, who was standing aside, looked at Yun Dongliu in a dangerous situation and reminded Li Xiao softly, wait a little longer, I think Yun Dongliu should have more than this means. Sure enough, after a while, clouds of thick smoke rose near Yun Dongliu's position. In addition, the street lights around their position were not bright enough, so it was easy for someone to break through and build a defense line on both sides. Although they were still under fire suppression, the threat from the side was offset. Yun Dongliu commanded the team to fight in an orderly manner. Both sides suffered losses and the battlefield situation was deadlocked. Seeing this, Li Xiao gestured to Yan Yizhao on a tall building not far away. Then, with an inconspicuous gunshot, a line of blood splashed from the temple of the player next to Chen Ji, and he fell to the ground with a plop. This player was not wearing a helmet, and had no ability to reduce damage when encountering a sniper. He could only leave this world with full damage. The level 5 base system only increases the player's health to 500 points, but very few can upgrade to level 5 bases at this stage. As Yan Yizhao opened fire, Li Xiao's firepower suddenly broke out, and Chen Ji's troops were caught off guard and killed one after another. Yun Dongliu's pressure suddenly dropped at this moment, and he immediately led his troops to fight back fiercely. Seeing that there was no chance of winning, Chen Ji had to gather his troops and retreat. But Yan Yizhao, who was looking down from a high position, did not intend to let go of the prey easily. Li Xiao's goal for him was to kill the 2 commanders. Before Chen Ji blended into the darkness, QBU, A7 fired again, and a bullet hit Chen Ji's lower back, and half of his life was gone. However, Yan Yizhao had no chance to shoot again. After all, he is just a low-level sniper, and his accuracy is still lacking practice. Li Xiao turned out from the corner of the street with a little regret, and Yun Dongliu immediately saw him, and seemed a little surprised. Yun Dongliu, I didn't expect us to meet again so soon. Li Xiao walked over and smiled without any pretense. It's you, thank you for helping me out, but that's all. Although Yoon Dong-liu said thank you, Lee Zio felt that he didn't say it, and his attitude was cold and embarrassing. Nothing, I hate bullying the weak with the strong, but then again, how many star coins are there in this bank that are worth your lives? What does this have to do with you? Oh. Lee Zio scratched his head awkwardly. I thought we knew each other. Okay, I was just being sentimental. Yoon Dong-liu looked like he didn't want to get close to anyone. Lee Zio simply didn't bother to get into trouble, turned around and prepared to leave. After all, it was almost dawn, and his relationship with the Cheyenne Republic didn't support him wandering around the city. It's nothing, just 2,000 star coins a week. Lee Zio had just taken 2 steps when Yoon Dong-liu suddenly spoke again. 2,000, Lee Zio secretly smacked his lips. The current exchange rate between steel and fuel oil in the trading center and star coins is 5-to-1, which means that the star coin reserves in this bank can bring Yoon Dong-liu tens of thousands of resource benefits every week, an average of more than 1,000 a day. Don't be surprised, it's not as good as you think. The star coin collection speed here is very slow. My senior engineer can only collect 10 coins an hour, 5 coins an hour. An engineer works 24 hours without food or water, and can only get 800 or 900 coins a week. If you want to get all the reserves, at least 2 engineers have to stay here. No wonder Chenji said that he hadn't collected it all before. It turned out to be this reason. Lee Zio suddenly realized. However, now that many players have upgraded their bases to level 3 and 4, the demand for star coins has increased sharply, and the price has also risen. The purchasing power of the 3,000 or 4,000 star coins in his backpack is still quite strong. Okay, Brother Dong-liu, I'll take my leave first. Although Lee Zio was very envious of Yoon Dong-liu for occupying such a good resource point in Zicheng Bank, he would not make an enemy with someone as potential and conscious as Yoon Dong-liu for 2,000 star coins. Please. Lee Zio walked a few steps and suddenly remembered something. He was thinking about setting up a team a few days ago, and he was just short of one person, and this Yoon Dong-liu. Lee Zio was very interested in him. Not only was he around Zicheng, but he was also sharp-minded and absolutely rational, too cautious. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.